my friend, but I don't know if you know who I am. When I was there and I saw what you did, I saw it with my own two eyes. So you can wipe off that grin. I know where you've been. It's all been a pack of lies. I can feel it coming in the air tonight. Oh Lord. And I've been waiting for this moment for all my life. Oh Lord. Oh Lord. Well, I remember, don't worry. How could I ever forget? It's the first time, the last time we ever met. But I know the reason why you keep your silence up. No, you don't for me. The hurt doesn't show, the pain still grows. No stranger to you and me. I can feel it coming in the air tonight. Oh Lord. And I've been waiting for this moment for all my life. Oh Lord. I can feel it in the air tonight. Oh Lord. Oh Lord. And I've been waiting for this moment for all my life. Oh Lord, oh Lord. I can feel it coming in the air tonight. Oh Lord. And I've been waiting for this moment for all my life. Oh Lord, oh Lord. Ain't no motherfucker in this world could do it like me. Open up your eyes and insert a little rising. You don't have to love me, you don't have to like me. Got enough love in myself, in my psyche. You should have the same in your brain nightly. If you wanna taste, bitch, you can fucking try me. If you wanna hate, bitch, you know where to find me. And if you go and hate this, you can fucking bite me. I'll be cruising in my lane fast, call it high speed. I've been working hard, yeah, I've been working nightly. If you think you'll win, ha, not fucking likely. I be taking shots, yeah, cold-blooded, icy. Watching numbers grow is what I call sightseeing. In the front row, run it up when they hype me. The following grows, they know how to ignite me. Call me CEO, I've been running shit right, see. And I ain't playing games, I create my own lane. Making pleasure out of pain, turning losses into gains. I'm the boss, I'm making change. I've been rocking this exchange, popping off and risking things. Gonna make a fucking name, I just wanna be famous. But I don't want that cheap fame, no I'm not that vain. I just wanna be greatness. I just wanna be greatness. I just wanna be greatness. write my name to the bottom. So much unsaid left me for dead. I won't forget, and now you're left. Well, everyone's listening, and they know the difference. You're not failing our senses. If you're throwing me to the lions, you should know I'm not scared of dying. I wouldn't take back one thing I did, one word I said, but I'm gonna make you wish you did. Jump to conclusions, they fall for illusions, but you wouldn't dare try to stop them. You're going low at the end of the road, but that won't be the path that I follow. So much unsaid left me for dead. I won't forget, you're on my list. Well, everyone's listening, and they know the difference. You're not failing our senses. If you're throwing me to the lions, you should know I'm not scared of dying. I wouldn't take back one thing I did, one word I said, but I'm gonna make you wish you did. I'm holding on to this until the scales untilted. Well, everyone's listening, and they know the difference. You're not failing our senses. Pushing my limit. If you're throwing me to the lions, you should know I'm not scared of dying. I wouldn't take back one thing I did, one word I said. Ooh, if you're throwing me to the lions, you should know I'm not scared of dying. I wouldn't take back one thing I did, one word I said. Oh God, I'll make you wish you did. We were good, we were gold, kind of dream that can't be sold. We were right till we weren't, built a home and watched it burn. I didn't wanna leave you, I didn't wanna lie. Started to cry, but then remembered I can buy myself flowers, write my name in the sand, talk to myself for hours, see things you don't understand. I can take myself dancing, and I can hold my own head. Yeah, I can love me better than you can. Can love me better, I can love me better, baby. Can love me better, I can love me better. Paint my nails cherry red, match the roses that you laid. No remorse, no regret, I forgive every word you say. Ooh, I didn't wanna leave you, baby, I didn't wanna fight. Started to cry, but then remembered I can buy myself flowers, write my name in the sand, talk to myself for hours, yeah, say things you don't understand. did you cry? But then remembered I can buy myself flowers, write my name in the sand, talk to myself for hours, say things you don't understand. I can take myself dancing, I can hold the morning, I can love me better than, I can love me better. I love it when you call me señorita. I wish I could pretend I didn't need ya, but every touch is ooh la la la. It's true la la la. Oh, I should be running. Oh, you keep me coming for ya.
Land in Miami, the air was hot from summer rain, sweat dripping off me before I even knew her name. La la la, you felt like ooh la la la, yeah, no. Sapphire and moonlight, we danced for hours in the same tequila sunrise. Her body fit right in my hands, la la la. You felt like ooh la la la, yeah. I love it when you call me señorita. I wish I could pretend I didn't need ya, but every touch is ooh la la la. It's true la la la. Ooh, I should be running. Ooh, you know I love it when you call me señorita. I wish it wasn't so damn hard to leave ya, but every touch is ooh la la la. It's true la la la. Ooh, I should be running. Ooh, you keep me coming for ya.
Back in the hotel, there's just some things that never change. You say we're just friends, but friends don't know the way you taste. La la la. Cause you know it's been a long time coming, don't you let me fall. Open your lips and just me hooked on your tongue. Love your kisses deadly, don't stop.
I love it when you call me señorita. I wish I could pretend I didn't need ya, but every touch is ooh la la la. It's true la la la. Ooh, I should be running. Ooh, you know I love it when you call me señorita. I wish it wasn't so damn hard to leave ya, but every touch is ooh la la la. It's true la la la. Ooh, I should be running. Ooh, you keep me coming for ya. All along I've been coming for ya. And I hope it meant something to ya.
Hey, you guys. Hello.
Hello.
How are you? I was playing that song and I didn't want to turn it off.
I know, it gets stuck in my head every time.
Do you know I've been singing it for days, out loud as I can. Just certain parts,
Yes,
though.
I-
Just certain
I do
parts.
know.
It's really funny. And I'm going to have Allison tell her story because I think it's amazing. But tonight, the gloves are off. Everything's on the table. Questions can be asked. Questions can be answered. We have Allison Healy, Harford County State's Attorney. The successful 29 months. Are you kidding me?
It's a long time, Aussie.
It sure is. Prosecutor who literally got justice for Rachel Morren. And this has been a labor of love for me personally. It happened in my backyard. Everyone knows I've gotten to know the family. LFT has gotten to know the family. I was at trial all but one day. And I mean, there's not enough things that I can say about Allison. I'm going to bring her up. But I want to really quick before I bring her up, I want to thank everyone for coming in tonight. This is a super special night for us. This is a night that literally 2 years ago, almost to the day, we have been waiting for. And we've been waiting for information and being able to talk about things. Ask questions that we've had. I just asked some really nonsensical questions that don't have anything to do with anything, but I got the answers, and that was really cool. And I personally got to make some amazing friends during this trial. There was people in the gallery that I became friends with. There's people in groups that I became friends with. Danielle's in here. You get a special shout out for Danielle. She was with me on Monday. She's new and just, a beautiful soul. And I'm really honored to know her and Nicole and Donna and just everyone from the trial that was so kind to each other, and to Matt. The really guys took Matt under his arms. Butterfly Kisses, thank you so much for the $4.99 super chat. That was really nice of you. In honor of Rachel to continue to support her children, thank you for all that you both do. Especially coming from you, that means so much to me. Yes. It really, really does. Thank you. And I will make sure that they get that. And of course, Mallory, Malicious Intent, Mally Mal, thank you so much. That was really, really kind. Yes, you are our bestie and we love you. And if you have any questions, obviously text, or you can come up if you'd like and ask Allison anything.
But also, before you bring her up, I just want to piggyback and say something to what you were saying. I had so wanted to be there, but as we all know, like, life gets in the way. But I'm so glad impressed with how well Tia and I worked together and we're able to tag team things. And I got to watch her go through this and meet some incredible people who, by proxy, I claim as mine too, just so y'all all are aware. That's kind of how it works. But I pat certainly on her back, and then in a selfish way, pat on both our backs, because I think we kind of made it, having to be in two different places at one time and dealing with it. We were able to do it, and we learned a lot, and it's definitely been an experience that has provided value that I hope I never, have to witness, but so many more times again. I hope I can contribute in ways and have that same feeling of gratitude and pride. Oh, sorry, that would be the phone on vibrate. But I just wanted to mention that because it's really important for me to have that kind of outside voice as well.
It was, I have to say this, the last time that we were live was the last time that Allison came on, and that was right after the verdict. And to be honest, I have so many questions, but I don't know how these people do it on a daily basis. It took a lot out of me emotionally. I was so excited. I took as many words down as you guys know at the trial. This was my trial notebook, and I have like all my notes and everything in here. And I came home from the trial literally that day, and I got a notebook, and I transcribed my notes, right? And I feverishly transcribed these notes. I stayed up till 4 o'clock in the morning, just trying to get all my thoughts and everything I could remember down on paper. And when I was done, I closed the book and I was like, whew, okay, that was cathartic. And then I was like, I passed out. I didn't want to talk about it. I didn't want to think about it. I cried. I missed the people that I met. I missed being at trial. It's so many weird things. I'm being dead honest with you guys. I missed it. And yet I didn't. Grandma Sherry, hi, it's so nice to see you. Thank you for being here. I just kind of had a little bit of a mental breakdown afterwards. And I'm so glad that I took time away to process things. But also, I am so glad that I have that feverish thing to tell her story again. If we'd have done it right after the trial, it would not have been the way I would not have given the respect to Rachel and her family that I would want to. And I'm ready. I'm ready to tell her story.
So much time too after that trial, like going through like all your notes and really mapping it all out again. And it's almost like I don't know, it's a laboring task of love and almost kind of secretarial like, but it was something that was important for us to do, and it took a lot. But there's been all of a sudden that spark in Tia has kind of been reignited, which is always lovely to see, and in a good way for her too.
I didn't want to do, like, it's not that I didn't want to do Rachel's story. I didn't want to do anything. No true crime, no YouTube, nothing on our channel. We didn't go live. I even told LFT, I'm done. I can quit this right now. I feel good. I don't care. That's how I was so over everything. And last night, actually, that's not true. Thursday night, we heard something, and I'm going to get into that with Allison. And feverishly, I'm back at it. I'm researching, I'm looking things, I'm mapping, I'm asking questions, I'm going back to my notes, and it feels so good because now is the time to get into the story of Rachel Morren and tell it the way it should be told and give her and her family the respect. Also, there's a lot of other people that I want to thank, that I want to acknowledge, and that I want to really, I'm going to say spotlight, and you're going to see why later. But one of those people is Megan Waltmeyer. She was just honored with a national award today. I'm going to pull that up in a few minutes and read it to you. But she is so amazing. You guys have no idea what this woman did to help. You just have no idea. And what we're going to do now that I have everything organized, now that I'm back at it, LFT and I are like back in our groove again. We're going to go through each person's testimony. And when you hear Megan's testimony, you're going to flip because it's so amazing what she did. And she was so key in solving this case. She was so incredibly helpful. Also, I want to acknowledge Phil Golden, who was honored as the National Deputy of the Year. That is a big deal, not just locally. That is a nationwide thing. He was the lead investigator for the Rachel Morren case. And there were 10 other detectives involved, but he was the guy. He is a man of very few words. He is the most humble I've ever met. And he's just amazing. And we're going to put out all these awards. We're going to show everybody, just how cool they are. I also want to acknowledge and say thank you to Sheriff Gaylor. He is my personal favorite. What a great guy. He and Colonel Davis just are amazing individuals. I had the honor and privilege of sitting behind him at sentencing. We'll talk about that. That was really interesting. Anybody else I wanted to mention, LFT, you can think of before I bring Allison up, because I'm going to bring her up.
Our other lab coming up, or just that notion
Okay.
of.
You go ahead and mention that one. I'm going to bring out. Oh, no, I'm not going to bring Allison up. No, I'm not. Thank you, boss. Okay. Thank you.
And you're supposed to do that because I was going to do the other part. So.
Okay. So we want to acknowledge and tell you that we are very aware of what is going on civilly with Rachel Morren's children and Rachel Morren's mother. And I'm not talking about that tonight. There was some things that I was gonna, and I'm not doing it because I really want to focus tonight on Allison. I really want to focus tonight on Rachel. And I think what we're going to do is Sunday, pull something together and really go into detail about the civil suit there. I know there's things that happened today. I'm aware of everything. And I want to honor that. But tonight I want to honor Allison, her time, all the things that she did. She's our special guest, and I really want to focus on Allison and on Rachel. So I hope you guys, oh, see, you're so sweet. I just want to, I want to explain that publicly. Yes, we know of all the things going on. It is not a mystery to us. All that being said, is it okay to bring her up? Or do you have something else?
Because we just want to give everyone the dedicated and the attention that they deserve.
Yes, exactly. And without further ado, the divine Allison Healy. Thank you for being here tonight, and thank you for getting justice so eloquently, brilliantly, and God, you're such a freaking genius.
My pleasure. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday. You know what? So I got a text the other day from Allison that said, and I was going to play the song tonight and I didn't. It's a good day. And if you're old like me, Ice Cube had a really good song back in the day. And I had it listed that it's a good day.
It is a good day.
And Monday was a great day.
It
God, it felt so good. And I have so many questions, but before we get to the meat and potatoes, how did you feel going in Monday? Were you when I saw you were very relaxed. You seemed like you were ready for this.
Yeah, I was ready. Praying that the PowerPoint worked. That was the only thing I was nervous about and we can talk about this. I know you want to talk a little about Megan tonight, and technology is not always the state's attorney's best friend. So I had made that PowerPoint myself. And so I was nervous it was going to go awry. So that was the only thing I was really nervous about. But I was ready. I mean, I knew this case, obviously, all along, inside and out. And here goes the dog because someone's coming in the house, of course. So anyway, very much, I know this case inside and out. I was at the crime scene. I know it forwards, backwards, and in between. And so I was very comfortable with that piece. It was really sort of getting through those purposes of sentencing and his crazy psychosexual evaluation, which I'm sure you don't want to talk about.
Yeah.
But just getting the point across. I was confident our judge would give a good sentence. I wasn't worried that he was, I was pretty confident he would get life without parole, but I didn't just want life without parole. I wanted every single day.
Right.
And so the only thing I wondered in my head was like, would she think that was overboard? Right. Because you're never going to get to that many years anyway. You know what I mean? So would she do something less? Would she just do 2 consecutive life sentences and leave it at that? I just wasn't sure, but I was relaxed. I was ready. I knew what needed to be said and done. I was nervous, I will tell you, about getting through Faye's victim impact statement, because it was hard for me to read it when I read it out loud the first time when we got the finalized version. And I said, hopefully I'll just get through this. And I don't know how much people caught on, but there was a couple times I had to pause because I could feel like the lump in my throat coming. And I was like, okay, I can't do this because I have to stay,
That's actually one of my questions. Like, how do you emotionally separate as a mom and as someone reading the words from?
Yeah. So it's really funny. I will tell you, this week, I think I've been asked that question more, because after Monday, we actually left, David and I, and went to the Maryland State Attorneys Association had a prosecutors institute for law students. Mm-hmm. And we got tapped because apparently we are now the experts on forensic genealogy. So we got tapped to teach that at the institute. And so everyone, of course, was talking about the case because I came late, or we came late, whatever. And so I don't think I've ever been asked so many times, how do you compartmentalize it? And I don't know I don't know how. I just do. It just. I think that over the course of time, as a young prosecutor, you see, it gets a little worse. You start with basic assaults, and you see some black guys and some, whatever. And and I've been doing this now I've been a prosecutor for 15 or 16 years at this point. And so the cases get worse, the more experience, and the worse cases, so you see where, I mean, none of them even touch Rachel's case, of course, but, you just get more used to handling and seeing, and, and I obviously have done a lot of victim impact statements, several murder cases, whatever, but obviously this was very different. I have 5 kids live in my house. Right? I mean, I can relate to that, more blended family, but they're still all 5 mine as far as I'm concerned. And, so it was a lot to, and I developed a relationship with Faye. I adore her. I think she is just such a great kid. And so, that was tough for me, to read hers, especially. I mean, I got a little choked up too when I listened to Violet's recording. So, it's tough. And as a mom, of course, that's why I hit so much on, throughout the theme of the trial, all of it was about the kids and losing their mom, because to me that's the thing that hits home the most, and I felt like would touch the court and the jury and everyone the most is that piece of it.
I agree. I mean, you nailed it.
Well, and I think it's also so human too of you too. Like, I feel like recently with a lot of prosecutors and sentencing proceedings, you see people, or I feel like we have recently, that you continue to do your job, but there's that element of like how much you're like, this actually means something to you. Like you can hear it in speeches. And I don't think, like, to me, I know you have to separate from it to a degree, obviously. Yeah. Because that's the nature of the job. But I think there's also
can't be crying during the hearing, guy.
But you know what? The Idaho 4, the prosecutor started crying. And I was like,
I'm gonna have to go back and watch that, because with Rachel's case, I just haven't had time to, because it was kind of
at the same
and I just haven't had time to really.
We didn't cover that one. That's not one. I mean, I was so involved with Rachel's case that
same.
I just didn't want. I didn't want to get involved in anything else. I wanted to keep the core of it here. Would you please, for everyone, explain his sentence, what he received, and how it works, if you don't mind?
Sure. So he got, I'll tell you the official words, and then I'll kind of try to tell you what it means. So he got, on the first count, which was murder in the first degree, he got life without parole. It was the only count that carried the without parole option. So that was the only one where he could get life without parole. We served the notice. He got life without parole on count 1. Count 3 was first degree rape. He got a life sentence. Now that's with parole, because it doesn't carry the life without option, but he got a life sentence consecutive to count 1, which means it doesn't start until the life without parole is over.
Right.
Which is never.
Which is never going to happen.
Which is never. So then he got life consecutive. Then on count 5, which was the third degree sex offense, he got 10 years. That was the maximum. All of these are the maximum sentences. 10 years consecutive to count 3. So that sentence doesn't start until the life with parole sentence is over on the rape. So the life without has to start and end. The rape has to start and end. And then the third degree sex offense starts, and that's 10 years. And then when that 10 years is over, we get to count 6, which is the kidnapping, which was 30 years consecutive. So that sentence doesn't start until the third degree sex offense is over, after the first degree rape is over, after the first degree murder is over.
So he would have to be dead. We're talking lifetimes he's paying for this. This is amazing. Toe-Beans, don't you dare sit down quietly. Ask your questions and welcome here. We're glad you're here tonight. Well, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, no, I just think something that T and I talked about earlier, too, was the sentence is more than worthy for what he did to Rachel. But I think what you and your team did in the way he's been sentenced and reprimanded or punished or whatever the appropriate term is. Sorry, I'm having a slight brain blank. But it speaks for all. Like, I think it helped give a sense of justice for the events that happened prior to Rachel too. Like it really honed in, really, like he's going nowhere.
Yeah, that was one of the things that we talked about prior to the trial, was that everything was weighing on Rachel's trial. Yep. So the killing in El Salvador of the woman New Year's Eve, the attempted murder in LA, and then there's a mystery one that we have questions on, Mexico, maybe. He doesn't really talk about that. Well, we don't have to talk about that right now, but there's some, he made reference.
There was a weird comment.
Yeah.
I'm happy to talk about it, but there was definitely a weird comment that we were like, what's in Mexico?
Yeah. So no, will he ever go back? No. He was actually, and this is one of the next points I wanted to hit, he was actually acquitted in El Salvador.
Well, that's what the defense said. I never got that word. And I don't know if you saw me, but I turned around and we were talking to HSI and FBI who were in the front row there with the sheriff. And I was like, do you know anything about that? And they were like, we haven't heard anything. That doesn't mean doesn't mean it's not true. Doesn't mean it is true. Nobody knows anything because El Salvador doesn't need to tell us squat, right? So the one thing I will say, and I've seen this a lot this week, and for what it's worth, do I believe he deserved the death penalty, and do I wish we had the death penalty? Yeah, obviously we can't get that. So we got the best form of justice we can get under our Maryland law. Right. But the questions about taxpayer dollar, we're going to have to pay to support him for the rest of his life, and he's not going to go back. There's a couple of things, but the biggest thing for me is that I understand that point, obviously, completely. However, we have no authority to order El Salvador to put him in jail, right? We can't order him to an El Salvadorian jail. So if we deport him, he's free, which means, let's be honest. Well, I mean, we're security order now, but he can come right back in, right? He can make his way back in. And whether it's there or it's here, he will rape someone again. He will murder someone again if he is free. It's not, I said it in sentencing, and I will say it till I die. It is not a matter of if, it is a matter of when.
I agree.
And there is no amount of taxpayer money, there's no amount of money, period, that is worth another human being's life. And so I agree. If we have to pay,
with how brutal and
he
how
does it every time. Right.
Yes.
And so for me, it is, I will, I think our taxpayer dollars are well spent because there's no human being on this planet whose life is worth letting him free.
I agree with you. And one of the things I talked about with the family, which I thought was a great way of looking at it for them, because you always wonder what they're thinking, is I think Matt put it really eloquently, which is, we know where he is here. Yeah. We can look online and see he is at such and such, he's where he's supposed to be. Yeah. And for them, that's comfort, because like you said, if you release him in El Salvador, not only would he do harm, but he will come back.
Oh yeah.
And again, I really want you to talk about the psychiatric stuff with him that we talked about at sentencing.
That report was wild.
That was, I'm going to say that was some
you only got what I said in court was all, I mean, like I said, I could have talked for days about the insanity that was in that report. I mean, it was absolutely wild.
May I ask
yes.
Sorry. No, I was just going to ask a quick question about what you were just talking about in terms of, I agree with everything. Like, it's not a matter of if, it would be when this happened again. Yeah. But, and Tia, I might be kind of messing up with our outline here, but it just made me think of, I was reading, obviously since I wasn't there, that like how you said, like he will come back again, even if he was in El Salvador, he would come back again. And it made me think, apparently, I guess, and you two, please correct me if I'm wrong on this, but it was, I guess the defense kind of during the sentencing or at some point along this way, tried to, I guess, convey that basically he was fleeing El Salvador from the violence that he has experienced, and that he was coming here to
Oh, when
Fighting.
I get what you're saying, but
It was
actually,
violence necessarily. It was just to make a better life, you know.
yeah.
Like, but
There
so
was some talk. There was some talk about they had this bakery and he makes bread. If I had to listen to talk about him making bread for one more minute, I was gonna like reach over and
Oh my God, you and me both.
you know, reach out, touch somebody. But there was some concern. They mentioned something very briefly about him because they had to bake early in the morning and there were gangs in that area. But of course, he wasn't part of any gangs. But that the gangs were, I guess, targeting them or targeting the businesses. I guess I don't know. But that was really all. I mean, it was always just he came here to, you know, make a better life for his daughter.
Make a better life, which is what makes it so diabolical, even more so, where you have them coming here, like he's coming here to provide for his family and do all this, and you're like, the hell he is.
No, he's not.
He came here. The first time he tried to come over the border was like a day or 2 days after the murder. He was fleeing because he killed somebody.
Right.
Yep.
So let's talk about that report from the good doctor. Yes. No. And Danielle said, ain't nobody want that bread. No. No, nobody wanted your damn bread. And nobody wanted your stupid stories either. Hold on. Here's Matt. Him getting locked away for life is giving his daughter a better life. And that is a fact. Because
that's really a fact.
When you hear this report, God only knows what he would have done to his own daughter.
Correct.
God only knows. And I mean, I didn't go into a lot of detail, even with LFT. So I'm really, this is good stuff. And for anybody that has any compassion or empathy, I promise you it'll go out the window right now.
So he lied the entire way through the report. And one of the things Dr. Witzek does is commonly, sometimes she meets with him more than once. In this case, she did. I think it was 2 interviews. And it's not uncommon. She does it in all of her cases when she does this type of evaluation, is she will ask us for what she would call in the report collateral data stuff. You know, she called me actually, I think it was after the first interview, was kind of like, of course, he's just denying everything. What can you know, do you have things you want to give me? Actually, she'd asked me for it before the first one. I just hadn't, we hadn't quite caught up yet because I wanted to pull certain things. And, you know, she said, of course, he's denying everything. Do you guys have things? And I said, yes, we have a list. You know, we're pulling it. We're going to get it to you. So we sent her over a series of reports, the red notice from El Salvador, gave her just generally, I think we gave her probably Phil Golden's report just because his was the best summary, I think. But we gave her a series of collateral, the DNA, right? Because, you know, it was never, you know, and that he denied ever being in Maryland and et cetera, et cetera. So he has now decided he has been in Maryland. After all of the, I've never been anywhere but Oklahoma and Texas. He's now that we have paraded all the witnesses through court, he knows there's no way around it. Yes, we were in Maryland. I got the, and yes, Marcos, who back to the police was, you know, I messaged him. He left me on red. I never visited him. Now I stayed with him in Bel Air and he, quote, embraced me really tight. Like he, you know, helped me out. So now now that we've, you know, sort of paraded the witnesses through, the police had shown him the picture of him and Tanya, his cousin from PG County, had no idea how that picture could possibly exist. Now he admits that he worked with his female cousin and her husband at a period of time in Prince George's. To the police, he didn't know Edith. He didn't know Jose Ivan. Well, he knew of Jose Ivan, but had never seen him since he's been in the United States, et cetera, et cetera. Yes, now let me tell you the entire story of how I got to Aunt Edith. I messaged her. I did this. I did that. All of a sudden, we know who Edith is. Wild. So there was a lot of lying about the background stuff. He denied any criminal history. Of course, she had the red notice. She confronted him about that. And one of my favorite moments in this report was, as everyone knows, we talked about in closing, Fatima brought the DNA here, right? The Fatima from El Salvador, who apparently is magic.
That was my favorite. She
But-
brought it here, left it at the murder scene, and went back.
And went back, I guess. I don't know.
That
But
killed me.
the funniest part of this psychological evaluation is when she confronted him with the red notice, he said, yes, I know who that person is, like the victim in that case. Yes, I know who that person is. No, I didn't have anything to do with killing her. And again, Fatima did it. Again, Fatima did it. Fatima brought the DNA here. Fatima killed the girl in El Salvador. This woman is magic, apparently. And I would love to meet her and find out what she's really about. But so when Fatima came back into the picture, I out loud laughed when I was reading the psychological evaluation. I was like, you've got to be kidding me. This is absolutely absurd. He also said, so the major part of this evaluation was to do the risk assessments to figure out how much, if he were not incarcerated, how much of a risk of reoffending sexually is he? And so they usually ask a series of questions that have to do with not only the offense, but other things that are sexual in nature. So she asked him, always asked about pornography. This was not specific to Mr. Martinez Hernandez. It is always part of the psychosexual. Have you ever viewed pornography? Do you view pornography? His answer, I have not viewed pornography except one time.
Mm-hmm.
In El Salvador when a friend showed it to me. And I was like, interesting. So I picked up the phone after, and we had not given Dr. Wittek anything about that because I didn't know what he was going to say, right?
Right.
So I get this report and I call my dear friend Heather Marsh, not Megan, because if you remember from trial, Heather did his phone.
Yes.
And I said to her, I remember remembering correctly that there was pornography on his phone. And she said, yep. And I said, can you please look at the download and give me about how often, how many images, give me a rough estimate. The other thing that we knew was that there was child pornography on it. Because, of course, he denied any child pornography. Never watched child pornography ever, ever, ever. I also said there was child pornography because I remembered distinctly that when we were doing trial prep with Heather was when we actually realized the child pornography was on it. Because normally we would not send that in discovery, which is what the defense was sort of talking about when they said, well, we wouldn't have gotten that. No, you did, because we didn't realize it. If we catch it, I mean, we're looking, these downloads are, the amount of information is just, there is no way to, see all the things. And so we were so focused on Rachel and the evidence in this case that we never really ventured a whole lot into the pornography stuff until it became relevant. And so I said, I know there's child pornography on there because when we were prepping, Heather was like, oh my God, there's child pornography. And I was like, it's fine. It's too late. We did, it is what it is. And so we realized at that point that, that there was stuff on there. So I said, give me an idea. Turns out there were 2,346 images of pornography, adult pornography, on Mr. Martinez Hernandez's phone. And those were images that were involved in a sexual act. So they were pornographic pictures showing, I think she also said, like, she included, I think, in that if like for example, if a penis was erect, right? Because that would be in the state of, so 2,346 of those images. Then there were additional images, and I think we stopped counting. We didn't really matter, but there were additional pornographic images that were just like pictures, not involved in a sexual act, just like nude pictures that had gone through like the nudity filter in the phone. And then there were 53 additional photos. So all of the adult stuff is one thing, 53 additional photos of child sexual pornography.
Okay, thank you.
And those were infant and toddler.
Some of which were obviously infants and toddlers, would be Heather's words if she were testifying. And then there were some videos that went through the nudity filter. Again, we didn't get into them too much because really the point of this all was to show Judge Curtin that he's a complete liar. And so how can he be amenable to treatment when he isn't even willing to tell the truth about what his issues are?
Right.
So we can go into that too much, but there were at least 30 or more visits to porn sites, most of which were like the xvideos.com.
Yep.
And then there was the other images that were something called, they had something written on them. We didn't write it because we could never quite figure out what it was, but they said DECA on them, DECAH. They were all kind of labeled like that, but it was basically images of people dying. We think it's like a Spanish or whatever for like decay. Like we were trying to figure out what it meant. I'm thinking it's something like that because it all has to do with people dying, people being shot in the head, people jumping off of buildings, people in motor vehicle accidents, hit by trains, like all that kind of stuff. So it was all like people dying. So we were thinking it must be related to like the word decay somehow, right? I mean, but yeah, so that's what his phone had. He denied any use of substances at all, except for marijuana, which he stopped 4 years ago when he had his daughter, which nobody's buying that. And she confronted him and said, well, Marco said you used drugs. Your family said your brother and your cousin said you used drugs. How do you explain that? And for Marcos, he said, well, maybe he was afraid of getting detained because he's not here legally. So maybe he's afraid of getting detained. And so he turned on me, basically, or went against me, I think was his word. The same Marcos, who in the same report, he says, embraced him really tight. So
which way is it?
That doesn't work. Right. Exactly. And when she said, and what about your brother and cousin? Why would they say that? And he had zero explanation for that. And then we get to the 2 risk assessments, which placed him in the static 99R, put him at an above average risk for reoffending if he were not in confinement. And the sexual violence risk 20, I think I'm saying that right, put him in the moderate to high risk. But the whole key of this was that Dr. Witzak basically said, all of this is a significant underestimate because he's not telling the truth about the crime, about all the things. So we can't, things that were scored negatively because he is saying no to the question, right? And the only way to get a yes is for him to say yes.
Right.
So because those things were scored negatively, had he told the truth, right, that would bump his score even higher. Considerably higher. So Allison, there was a lot of that. What'd you say?
When was this assessment done? Is it done between like the end of the trial and the sentencing, or was it before? Okay.
So this was this was the evaluation that we asked for after conviction. And the report was dated, I think it was July 13th, if I remember right.
Okay, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. I was just curious as to when.
No, but like that was the gist of the report, but there was like so much of that in there, just no answers for all the lie. I mean, there was just so many lies. I mean, it was just lie after lie after lie. I mean, it was just, I could have, there were so many things I highlighted, like just picking apart, like, I could talk for days about it, but he just deny, which makes this, then they turn around and say he's ready for treatment. Well, no, he can't be ready for treatment because he's not. They actually said that in court. He's ready, programming, and he can be rehabilitated. You can't be rehabilitated if you don't accept the thing for which you need help.
You need to accept responsibility.
You can't say I maintain my innocence and I didn't do this, but I'm ready to be treated for it at the same time.
Oh, before we go any further, well, while we're on something that just makes me giggle and will always make me giggle for the rest of my life is, would you like to make a statement, Victor Martinez Hernandez? No, but I want to appeal.
I thank my attorneys. I have no questions.
But I want to appeal.
But yes, I want to appeal because that was after the post-trial rate.
You couldn't You couldn't pick me up off the floor after that one. I was like, okay, buddy, cool beans. Off you
Go
go.
for it.
I cannot even convey what it was like when Tia called and told me that immediately after, like literally. And we keep quiet. Like I think the rest of the day, I'd bring it. She'd be like, "Do you want to do this?" And I'd go, "No, but I want to appeal." Like we just turned it into like. She was like, "You are not going to believe this shit."
I am feverishly taking notes. Okay, feverishly, writing everything down. And I almost dropped my notebook because I was like, "What do you mean?"
It's all at that point. It was all very standard, right? At the end of a trial, they do the post-trial rights. All of that is normal. This is every sentencing, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have these rights, blah blah blah, whatever. Of course, she got the one right wrong, which I was like, the judge actually corrected it, but I was about to stand up and say, "Whoa, hold on,
yeah,
one of those things is wrong." But then as I went, and then it's always at the end, do you have any questions? Always, every time. So this is not, whatever. No, I have no questions, but I would like to appeal.
Okay, buddy.
I'm at it.
Well, and my favorite was you have a panel. What was it? A panel of 3 judges who will go back and speak with, with the second judge, which is fabulous because she made no bones about how she felt about him. So I was like,
she would submit something or talk to them, but usually I think they submit something. We also get to present information to them as to the sentence and whatever. So they would file it, and sometimes they present things. I don't know that they present a whole lot. In this case, they probably would just file it, to file it, basically. So he doesn't come back and say they didn't, basically. And there's no reason not to, because he got the maximum, so I'm sure he will. Sure. And in this case, it's super easy because I can just be like, here are my PowerPoints, judges. By all means, take a look at the terrible photographs that are in my closing, and then take a look at my sentencing PowerPoint and the document that I was reading from that day, and
or go back and listen to their 10-minute defense during the trial.
right.
Matt says using the bread defense, appeal using the bread defense.
Bread defense. That's right. Right, the bread defense. And here's the funny thing. I am not, I've said it. I said it after the trial. I said it the other day outside the courthouse. I am not concerned about, because Judge Curtin does such a great job of, first of all, she makes sound legal rulings, but she also does a great job of making a record, putting her basis on the record that protects us in an appeal, right? When they do that. Okay. And at the end of the day, let's say the Court of Appeals did something super wacky and overturned these convictions. Every time we try this, we're going to get the same result. Right. We're going to keep doing this and keep trying you, and we're going to keep winning because you have no defense, and you're going to keep getting the maximum sentence. So I don't actually care. I'll try this case 8 times. It'll still be the same result.
Right. And at some point, they're going to stop bringing you out of the prison. They're just going to leave you right there to Zoom because you are a waste of time. Right. You know what I mean? Like you are.
I'm really not worried about that. But at the end of the day, I'm like, and if something weird happens, okay.
Can we explain the bread thing?
The bread thing. And that's Miss McDonald, as I call her, because she was my 4th grade teacher.
That's right. I forgot about that. That's right.
The answer to that is that the defense in their mitigation went on and on about when he was in El Salvador. He lived with his parents, which later he found out the big family secret that they were not his parents, they were his grandparents, but that they made bread. He made bread, and he was very good at making bread, and they worked in the bakery, all the bread making. That was about the best positive thing they could come up with, is that he made bread.
He sold bread door to door. He was quite the bread selling fool.
And very good at making bread, apparently.
Very good at, but you know what? I don't give a shit. Make that bread in prison, buddy.
How you would have made your daughter's life better if you came here, didn't kill or rape any human beings or assault any human beings, and went to a bakery and got a job making bread in the United States where you could make more money and send money back to them. That's how you make a better life, not coming here and raping and killing people.
And doing it all. Wait, he's 24 now? Wait.
Yeah.
24. 24. He'll be 25 in September, I think.
September.
Yeah.
Yeah. September 19th.
I think that's right.
even more frightening. Like, I mean, eat all the bread. You can eat bread and water for the rest of his life, for all I care. But like, you are not even 25 years old, and this is everything.
Well, that's what's so alarming to me, looking at this human being in the courtroom, and the years don't match the brutality.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't know what happened.
How do you, I mean, we've said that, like, how do you at 24 get to the point where you are doing this? I mean, I still, other than truly you're just a sociopath. I mean, there's no other answer other than that. Truly.
It's like there's no impulse control on anything. Like every state he went to, it was like he just, it's like a passport stamp for him. Like in a way of like, he can't, like, I got to do it because
everywhere. And I would not be surprised at all if there are more people.
That's the thing that scares me.
Not even a little bit.
It won't surprise me, but God, I hope not. But it doesn't. There's a long time. There's periods in there for me that
it's unaccounted for.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And his cool off period is very short.
Yep.
And I just, for opinion, like, I don't know. I it doesn't make sense. It does not make sense. What I was
going to say, just so y'all know, there were Allison probably knows this, but 133 days between the attack in LA to Rachel. Just 100, like, I mean, it's four months, 11 days.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's, and then, but then you've got a span of time too, where you've got 4 months and 11 days between there.
Yep.
Well, and then you have the New Year's Eve to May 26th in LA,
which is not that long either.
No.
And
did I say May? It is March. Yes.
March. But I mean, also, but also, because you said this earlier, in between El Salvador and California is when he's in Mexico.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I still don't know what's in Mexico, but something's in Mexico.
There are bodies laying in Mexico that are unaccounted for. Some
kind of body in Mexico based on that airplane ride.
So do you want to talk about that? Because I don't think everybody knows about that. I'm going to shoot them over to our good sheriffs, but that was a comment that made my blood run cold.
So when Victor was brought from Tulsa back to Maryland, HSI was kind enough to give us their private plane or whatever to bring him back, so they didn't fly on like
Delta,
a commercial flight, right? Sometimes they do that. I mean, they wouldn't with him.
That's what you want sitting next to you, right? You know, you want
exactly. So
you really do exit doors.
So on the plane was someone from HSI, and then of course Sergeant Maddox and Phil Golden, and I want to say there may have been someone from the FBI as well, and then now Sergeant Crespo. I think it might have been a corporal then, but Chris Crespo, who did a lot of the investigation. He actually works at the detention center, but he was very involved in this because he speaks Spanish, so he went with them all the places to help with. He actually was the
body cam footage
in the
interview, correct?
In the interview, that is him. Yes. Yep. So he did a lot of that throughout, and so he on the way back, they were flying back, and sort of so on his own accord, no questions being asked, Victor asked either HSI or FBI whether they investigated crimes in Mexico. So all of our questions is, what's in Mexico?
Pardon me?
We don't know anything about Mexico. What would you like to tell us about Mexico? So
nothing.
I don't know why we're bringing up crimes in Mexico if nothing happened in Mexico. So my suspicion is something happened in Mexico. I just don't know what.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So the LA incident, because that's kind of we found, so Sheriff Gaylor does a podcast as well, and he did a great job. Talking about the
very,
Rachel
very
Morin
good. I actually listened to it. I want to say it was either last night or the night before.
Yeah, we listened to it and feverishly took notes. I had some questions, and I really I don't know if he'd ever come on here, but I really want to talk to him. Like on the air, I really want to talk to him. But his podcast was excellent. He had Megan on there, Sergeant Maddox, Phil Golden. Who else was on there?
Captain Lee.
Davis. Yeah.
Maddox.
It was the Colonel and the Sheriff, Captain Lean, Sergeant Maddox.
Oh, that's right.
Bill,
Golden,
and then Bill Golden and Megan Waltmeyer. Yep.
Yeah. So we learned a lot more about the LA incident, and that's been kind of very quiet during this.
We didn't use it.
I was really glad, actually, now that we know more about it, that it stayed quiet, because I think that if, just a personal opinion, tell me, I could be way out of line here, but I feel like too much information feeds the masses and things go crazy as it is. So and I'm calling it the LA incident because I don't want to give any names or any addresses. It's all already out there. But there was an incident that happened in LA, and that is where the Ring doorbell footage came from. That is where we started to see what Victor looked like.
That's really how we knew the description of who we were looking for, like what the description was, because of the CODIS match from there.
Yes. So the DNA, and there was a lot of things that went on, a lot of rumors that happened with that we actually did. Oddly enough, weirdly enough, a friend of mine and I, she got me out of bed one night, Teresa from Criminality. She was working on the Rachel Morin case with us for a good amount of time when it first happened. And she lives in California. And she and I were messaging one night, and it was midnight her time, 3 a.m. my time. And she's, we're talking about this thing. And she's like, I think I have the address. And I'm like, you don't, shut up. And I'm laying there and I'm like, I bet she does. So I'm running in my office. I get on the phone, like, what do you have? So we're like, feverishly talking and looking at Google Maps and going down the street. Oh yeah, we do have it. There are pictures, and then we do what we do.
Yep.
But the LA incident, let's talk about that in some detail, because Sheriff Gaylor gave us a lot.
And I think we've spoken about that before, briefly. Essentially kind of what the public knew, but kind of gave little bits and pieces that were permittable to kind of share. I will tell you, listening to the podcast the other night with Tia, like, we paused it at one point, and I just looked at her and I was like, oh my God, oh my gracious, like this is frightening. And it's
so there was one piece that I don't think they said the other night. And if they said it, I missed it. So they talked about how Victor came in through the window, and the both kids were upstairs at that point.
Right.
And that something with the mom.
Right.
So when the mom is, and I think they use words like sleeping, passed out, whatever, on the couch.
Right.
The mom was so drunk that she didn't even come out of the bathroom to talk to the police. Like, she was wasted.
Oh.
And so I think that our friend knew that because there's this party, whatever, however he knew it. And that the goal was, this is my opinion, to sexually assault her, right? That was the goal of coming in there. And so he tried to pull her off the couch, because I think the information was that she was on the couch, right? Yeah. And this poor 9-year-old who hears this and comes down, tells the police, oh, my mom was drunk. She 100% says my mom was drunk. And she fell down trying to go to the bathroom. Like, that's how she thinks she got on the floor. I don't believe that for a second. I don't think that's how she got on the floor. I think Victor pulled her onto the floor because it was like a recliner couch. She was laying, if you look at the body cam, and it's like, so you can't sexually assault. Yeah, that doesn't work. Yeah. So he had to get her onto the floor, I think.
He had to get her on the floor.
Yeah, and so I think that's what I think. And she heard him removing her from the couch, heard the thump. So then the daughter comes down. Then I'll let you.
And this is where it kills me. And actually, that creeps me out even more because now thinking about that and then understanding that he tried checked the back window first, didn't work. Then goes, I believe, I'm looking at my notes, sorry, enters through the living room kind of window after checking a back window as well. And then what you just described, like even how much more creepy that like is, like her position on that couch, recliner couch,
and he must have heard her coming down, the daughter, because when she gets down into it's like there's a door and it's kind of like the couch is right there in front of the door. The kitchen's like over there to the right. So it's kind of like all kind of right there. Well, when she comes down, she didn't see anything other than their mom on the floor and then sees Victor hiding under the table. So he must have heard them coming.
Right.
Yeah,
coming down the stairs.
Right.
So the little girl, 9-year-old little girl, hears her mom potentially thump on the floor. She comes down to check on things and sees her mom on the floor, sees the small dog drawing attention, as he said, to the dining room table.
Yeah, that's how she saw her.
And that little pig is hiding under the table. Here's what pisses me off. And stay with me, you guys, because this one, oh my God, I'm getting goosebumps because
it will make you want to like put your fist through your like screen.
I lost my shit when I literally stopped and rewound it. I stopped and rewound it because I was like, this is just everything about Victor is this statement right here. He gets the little girl, she comes down the stairs. He gets a bag of vegetables. Oh, your mom hit her head. Gets a bag of vegetables. And then as she turns around, Victor begins to assault her. A 9-year-old girl from behind you.
Who's getting frozen vegetables.
Is that what he said, Tia, right, y'all? That he was like, your mom hit her head, I'm getting the frozen vegetables. So then she said,
a bag of frozen vegetables.
Your mom hit her head. She's like, do you have any frozen vegetables? Something she needs. Right.
And so then she turns
around. He
to look back at her mom, and then he grabs her and drags her into the corner.
I think if I remember right, because it was around the neck, like he strangled her. So like it was like I think he had her like. I think if I remember right, I haven't looked at this in a while, but like pinned her up against the wall, I believe, by the neck.
And he was damn close to killing this little girl. And he's not a big guy, but he is a broad guy, and he's got broad shoulders and arms that a little.
Well, and we know strangulation can happen. Death can happen that fast. And you hit the right spot and you're done. And
oddly enough, that's the cause of death for Rachel.
One of two.
Yeah. So I thought that was, it angered me, but I also thought, oh, you little bitch, you can't even, you're such a little bitch. And that infuriated me, and it makes my heart sick for that little girl. And I
she was remarkable though, to be honest with you. Yeah. When you watch the body cam of her.
Yeah.
I mean, she's not really, I don't want to say distraught. You can tell she was scared and, she's telling him what happened, but she was remarkably calm.
I love that.
And they still think she is the one, like the arm that we see on the doorbell cam.
Yeah, I think they thought, well, it's either her or the brother. The brother, I think, was helping skedaddle him out with the chair and whatever, and she probably shut the door. That's very possible. And, there's been a lot of talk about that. And, I think people, it's really easy to say what you would do, right, in any situation, right? Like I would have whatever you think you would have done. But, as the sheriff said the other night, at that point, he gets the chair, he's leaving, and really all he wants to do is this guy out of his house, right? So if that's what it takes to get him out of his house and he's going,
Who cares?
then we're just going to whatever. And, some people, that's why we talk about flight or freeze, right? Some people run, some people literally freeze. So, it's hard to know what you would do in a situation until you're actually faced with it.
But it's when you think about it too, that domino effect, like they've had a birthday party all day, and they did say that birthday party went, from I guess the 25th into the early morning hours of the 26th of March. And you've got the mom asleep. Something happens there. Something that brought enough attention for the daughter to then come downstairs. Then something else happens down there that gives enough attention for the brother to come down.
So the assault on the sister, the brother heard whatever commotion that was causing, whatever noise that was causing. I mean, it's like, I forget, 3 a.m. I don't know. It's middle of the night.
I think
you're
right,
3. So it's, you would think relatively quiet, but and so that would be odd, and so whatever commotion his assault was causing was what caused the brother to come down.
Also,
then this is what.
I'm sorry. I did want to just say something really quick to Allison, because I went to look at Facebook really quick to bring up Megan's stuff, and I forgot that weird association things. It's not weird because I don't believe in coincidence. I think things happen for a reason, but the Idaho 4 case that we were talking about, one of the moms I'm friends with on Facebook. And she is an incredible woman. She has overcome so much in a very short period of time, and she lost her daughter. In addition to all the other things, she has lost her daughter really in a horrific manner. And she just came up on my on one of my things, and I wanted to let you know that she when I had done a post about Rachel, she was the first one to remark on it. And I thought that was really cool, having 2 national, horrific, sad, because her impact statement that she made at Ryan Koberger's was truly impactful. Yeah. And I love that she was the connection there. You know what I mean? It was really cool. And it just so happened that when I was going on to look at Megan's stuff, and that popped up, and I was like, hey, I forgot to tell you that.
And also, not to draw attention, like we said, away from the Rachel stuff, but about the Koberger, like that sentencing. Actually, Allison, if you come on again, on a total side note, if you watch those victim impact statements, I would love to see your reaction to some of them, because
I just haven't had, with this case, I just haven't had the chance to really watch it all. So it's on my Saturday binge watching stuff.
Yeah. How much weight does a victim impact statement have when it comes to sentencing with the judge?
I think it can depend on the judge. I mean, I think they carry weight for sure.
Yeah.
What you saw from Judge Curtin, speaking specifically to her, the way she handled the order in which she did things in her sentence is the way she does every victim crime sentencing. She always addresses the victims first, or the victim's family first, and gives some type of words. They're not always the same, but it shows that whatever she says always clearly shows that she is listening, that she's listening to what they are saying in victim impact. It's not just, I heard you, and they were what I expected them to be, right? But she, I think they do carry weight, and I think, I always tell victims, not necessarily in this case, but you can also, you also can sway it the other way if you say I don't want to say the wrong things, because there's nothing wrong to say, but you want to remain appropriate, and you want to follow the rules, and you want to, you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
Make sure you don't say anything you're not supposed to say.
What are the
So that
parameters
was
around?
actually what we were at sidebar about with regard to the victim impact statements. So you're not really allowed to ask, you're not really supposed to ask or allowed to ask for a specific sentence.
Okay.
Right. And so that's why I sort of geared everyone towards don't say things like life without parole, right, in your victim impact statement.
Okay.
Say things. And so they were like, well, some of them say maximum sentence possible. And I said, well, that can be interpreted a lot of ways. The maximum sentence you think is possible, judge, right? Like it's your discretion. That is to be interpreted by you. We told them don't give a number, don't give, they didn't say any specific sentence. They just said, well, and some referred to the rest of their life. The only one that referred to the rest of their life was Faye's, which said ruin his life, ruin the rest of his life like he ruined mine, which I think is fair, and that's not a sentence, right? She didn't say send him to jail for the rest of his life. She said ruin it, which
right.
I
was comfortable with.
Yeah, I was completely comfortable with that, and I would have, I obviously had conversations with all of them about their victim impact statements. And, if I thought it was across the line, because I think Matt would attest to this, that I have been very much, we are not going one toe out of line for this. When it came to victim impact statements, we stuck to the law, which is immediate family. I didn't want to step one toe out of line to give him anything to argue later. So, that's, I read them very carefully, and I was like, and the judge basically just said, I sentence, it doesn't matter, whatever. And so
have you seen judges? Have you been in a situation where like some judges are more, when it comes to the impact statements, whether you're presenting them or the individual themselves is, where they give a little bit more leadway in terms of how they're able to address the perpetrator, like the defense or the,
So they sort of encourage us not to, in a way, as long as it's appropriate, like Michael did, right? I forgive you. You did this, you did that. I mean, he definitely addressed him. It's just, they just don't want you to go too far, I think. And thankfully we didn't have anyone who really wanted to say a whole lot to him. I mean, like I said, Michael did, but it was, there wasn't actually,
Oh, I'm so sorry, Allison.
It was regarding it. What? Yes, he did address him, but I don't feel like he spoke to him. Does that make sense? I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, actually, and that leads me to a question for both of y'all, because obviously I wasn't in there. But what did Victor? Can you both describe Victor's reaction, emotions, anything? Okay, that's all right. Okay, first of all, I already know
what the reaction. There's your answer. There were no reactions to literally anything.
I already knew the answer to this question, but there's a very specific reason I asked, because sometimes I feel like certain people, spokesman people, kind of like morph things. And apparently, like some people's impact statements made more of an impact, like had Victor wiping his eyes, and I was like, "That's BS." I wish that.
I read that somewhere, and I was like, "Oh my god!" I mean, I don't look at him the entire time, but I was like, I definitely did not see that happen.
Allison, if you could have seen, you could have seen us watching this. Hold on, I gotta explain this.
I forgot. Oh, I know what you're talking about. Okay, sorry. Yeah. No, there's Danielle. Nada. Zero reaction.
Thank you. So first of all, I've been with Tia throughout this, obviously not with you all there, unfortunately, but like the phone calls, like heck, from the bathroom or in the elevator. By the way, like I knew every step where y'all are, and she was like, "Oh my god," and I was like, "Okay, oh my god," I just thought, whatever. We're fangirling, and we're like, "Hey," but I was getting the immediate reactions, and I know what she picks up on, and I know the way she does her notes and et cetera, et cetera. She told me a couple of things. Like one, I don't mean to spoil anything to you, but like Gaylord or no, she just noticed that he's just essentially just like bullseye eyes on him, just like cool. Like he was just like bring it.
I can't wait to talk about watching him in statement or in the sentencing was so interesting.
So that's where I'm going. Like I know Tia will pick up on stuff. So if there had been like a family member statement that like really cause, some sort of like reaction.
So
Heck,
now I know what you're talking about. She's talking about Patty Morin went on News Nation with her attorney, and they had this whole thing. I'll send you the link later, but they had this whole thing about how Patty's statement made him cry. And I'm like,
God.
I really don't think we were in the same courtroom, because
That
I didn't.
that absolutely did not happen.
Thank you.
Because I wish, and this is where, like, I wish I had a camera.
No, it didn't.
Because if I could have shown y'all, because we're on Zoom together watching this, and so that's what I'm saying. Like, I know her notes, and I know if that would have happened, like, it would have been, you know what I mean? It would have, like, she would have been like,
right. And the ones
Tia spins in her chair.
Mm-hmm, the ones that I didn't read, right? I was listening, right, or watching, and a lot of times I was actually, Tia can tell you, I was like, I let them take my seat, kind of. David moved to the back, and I moved to his seat. Mm-hmm. So I was sort of, they were in between me and Victor, right? And so I could more easily, and I'm not the one speaking right now, so I can actually look. And I didn't want to stare at him the whole time because whatever. But
because he's ugly.
Also that, but I like every time I looked at him, and I did watch him pretty intently while Judge Curtin was addressing him.
I did too.
And his face, every time I looked at him, it was the exact same. It never changed.
It's that.
I mean, I actually did specifically look at him when I said, in my portion, when I said he needs to look at their faces, when at the end, when I had the pictures of the kids up, he needs to look at their faces and whatever came after that, basically, and know this is what he did, whatever. And whatever my words were after that. But I remember that piece, and I looked at him when I said it because I wanted to see if he, and didn't turn his head,
nothing.
Like, flat out nothing.
When I tell you he has no affect at all, there's nothing.
Nothing.
The most emotion that he had was the first few days in court when he got to get up and walk over and listen to the sidebars. That is the most emotion I saw. He just bopped around.
And his smirks at the horrific pictures.
Yes. That was,
and he had a little bit of a change of expression when his family members got there and testified, because I will, to the day I die, swear that he believed they weren't going to show.
I agree with you. And I saw when Jose Ivan was walking down, and there was a moment of
like,
oh my God, they're really here.
But it doesn't. Again, he is so disillusioned that even at that point, he thought they're not going to say anything. He's still.
I mean, and people who he had, like, they were so done with him.
Oh, God.
Like, they had gotten him jobs, and he couldn't keep them. He's great. Like that, you got him a job at the. I call it the PG County version of La Tolteca, because that's how I envision it.
Oh, yeah.
But it's like the Mexican restaurant that they were working, that Jose Ivan DJs at or whatever. He had gotten him a job there. He got fired because he wasn't drinking, or because he was drinking on the job. He told him to go to Home Depot, and the contractors show up in the morning and take the people to their jobs and hire them, early in the morning. Well, he wouldn't get there till noon or 10, and too late.
Right.
They're all gone. And so, he wasn't paying his way, and Jose Ivan's like, I can't foot your bill, sitting around smoking weed, doing drugs, doing all the things. Like,
get the
they
hell
were
out.
so done with him that I was like, how could you have believed that these people who were like, you got to go.
But it seems like he only cared about things because that impacted him. Do you know what I mean? And I think
that's absolutely true.
Yeah, you said something like maybe at one point during the sentencing, I guess maybe when the defense was speaking about his childhood or something, maybe you said maybe he kind of looked down or showed but it's about him. It's not about
okay.
Else. Well, that was it. That was the other thing about the psychosexual that I did forget to say. The one theme throughout the whole thing, when I tell you, and she actually said this in the court, never once did he talk about Rachel, her family, the kids, and it's like, okay, how about, even if you maintain your innocence, I'm really sorry that this happened to her and, you know, her family's good. No. When
Nope.
she gave him open opportunity to say, is there anything else you want the court to know? I want the judge to know how hard it was for me to get into this country and for my family. That is what he was stuck on.
And that's where I would have loved, like, because Tia knows I tried to work it out to be there for at least the sentencing. And then I'm just going to show up on the door one day and Tia's going to be like, I knew this was coming. But I wanted to be there because I wanted to see y'all's reaction to, obviously, the defense is doing their job, like whatever.
Yeah. Of course,
is their job.
Yeah.
But just because I guess now I can relate to it, I can be more personal about Rachel's case because we're done with it, and knowing just what a POS this like. Oh, he's destroyed so many. He's left a mighty heavy wake for a little teeny twat of a 4-year-old as of now, but like he left a mighty big wake that impacted a ton of people, and I would have loved to see, like, to be a fly on the wall, to like watch Allison, quite frankly, you as well, just to be sitting there at that table being like, oh my God, she's going, like, I felt like, her eyes are rolling so hard right now, even though they're perfectly still, but I think she just probably saw her own ace. Like, you were just sitting there being like,
there were times during the sentencing that I thought I was going to have a seizure because I was like, are you fucking kidding me right now? Are you fucking kidding me right now? Are you really going to stand up and say that? Sit down. Do not talk anymore. Shh. Terrible.
Well, thank you for answering that about his emotions and stuff in the courtroom, because I would have to tell y'all, I know Tia.
Yeah, I had read that somewhere, and I was like, that.
Well, wait till you see the video of it.
I forgot about that. Yeah. It's
I did not.
I'll have to look at it.
I did. I mean, and like I said to you that night, I mean, well, I can show you my face when I was watching it. It was. Were we in the same room?
Spun in your chair. You literally spun in your chair at one point as it kept going. But you literally were going, and I knew it. That's because Tia, didn't I even tell you at one point? Like I wasn't looking at my phone or something. Don't worry, I just saw you roll. I felt you roll your eyes. Like we're both on camera, but I'm like not even looking. And I go, I know. And I turn around, and she is speechless, and she does that twirl around in that damn desk chair right there. She went from the mic side, like towards the pillows, and like went all the way around. And she was like, what courtroom was she in? Like, and I was like, did that really not happen? And that's when Tia gave a little bit. She was like, if anything, when they were talking about his childhood, something about him, maybe he looked down or like touched his face or something like that. But she was like, what the hell are we talking about? And I genuinely wanted to ask you both. Because if Allison was like, oh my gosh, she was emotional, I'm like, then Tia, you and I got to have a talk. We got to figure out, we're not, our radars are really off.
I said, I could be completely wrong. And I wasn't paying attention. I mean, I was taking a lot of notes, no question, but there were certain things that I was I feel like I was conscious.
Yeah.
I was in the room, you know?
Yeah. Sorry. So thank you both for answering, because I just couldn't imagine.
And I don't want to say my favorite, because it's not, I mean, that sounds terrible when you're talking about this, but the thing that attracts me to true crime is actually the crime scene. That is the thing that makes, I want to know more. I don't necessarily need to see things. I'm a visual, but
you want to hear about it.
I want to hear about it. I want to know what was there and where was it and how it happened and where he left this and how many feet was that. And so I'm very, people like Ski interest the hell out of me because he is so detailed in everything.
Ski. He's one of my faves.
Oh my God, he's great. And so I just kind of want to go through the crime scene investigation stuff with you and just start anywhere and talk about whatever, because I can just go on for days and listen. You were called that day, correct? You went out there.
What did LFT say?
Yeah, what'd you say, LFT?
Sorry, I'm going to let you two talk. But I was saying, I do know that, Tia, there are a few questions that we talked about that we were like, I'll just let Allison be like, boom, just explain it.
Oh, what do you have? Ask away. I'm so sorry.
Go ahead.
Well, I started with I was thinking about the shovel first and foremost.
Okay.
Because this, Tia and I got into this the other night, thinking more about it. After
the shovel is really the wild card in all this. I mean, it's kind of at the end of the day, it becomes the red herring that really doesn't mean
anything. But Tia made a good point of saying, like, okay, assuming, yes, I bet he did have it in his hand if it was the quote unquote potential walking stick or whatnot, and maybe it was utilized in some way. Do you know what I mean? To get her to be able to gain control of her. Who knows? But Tia was what Tia was pointing out to me, she was like, let me get this straight. Let's say that happened because of where it was located, between the tunnel, the attack, and then where the shovel was found. And Tia's whole thing, like, when we both started talking about it, was like, if say perchance that was the case and he kept it with him, or otherwise he had to, I'm assuming, to go back and get it, to go from where they finally located it. Just thinking it through, like, does he have the wherewithal to grab that after everything, to be like, let me take this? I've chucked her phone this way.
I talked to Allison about this before you came on, and she brought up a really interesting point. So start with the crime scene, and then we'll get into the shovel.
Because the shovel gets found later, and what happens between is kind of important. So, so Rachel's body gets found. Well, I will tell you, because I think you guys, whatever. I'm sitting out here by my pool. I get the call that her body's been found. Hilariously, and I don't go to every, I've said this before, I don't go to every murder scene that I get a call about, right? There was something about this one that just, like, in my gut said, you should go, you should actually go to the crime scene.
Right.
And so I'm sitting here and I'm like, I feel like I should go, maybe I should go. And part of it was the vast, it's the trail. It's not a confined scene where pictures are going to be able to easily be, to orient myself and, whatever. So I'm sitting here and I'm like, I'm texting my executive team and I'm talking to my significant other, and I'm like, I feel like I should go. Maybe I should go. Finally, Scott says to me, my significant other, just go. You're not going to go. I don't even know why we're having this conversation. Would you just go already? Like, I don't even know what we're doing.
Why are we doing this? You're wasting time.
Why are you having this conversation? Right. I'm like, okay, right. So I come in, I change my, put on tennis shoes, whatever, shorts. And so I head out there, and Maddox actually calls me. I'm like, probably not even 5 minutes out. I was coming through town, actually. I think I was coming right past the courthouse, actually. And he said, where are you? They were concerned about the heat and DNA and, whatever, and I said, I am, like, right here, I'll be there in 2 minutes. And so he's like, okay. So I pulled in. I actually came down I parked at the Leary-Dendron lot.
Okay.
The gator came up and got me, drove me down to where they were. So I got down there pretty quickly once I had parked. Got down there, they took me down. So I think it was Andy Lane, but initially, who took me, kind of walked me down the path and sort of showed me that they had some blood trail, coming down, and then, the rocks, of course, that are, after you make that turn to the left, so you go off the trail to the right, you can see little, and they were small. I mean, hard to see even with your eyes, like, you really had to be looking, to see them. So it was just like droplets, and then a little more, and then so you go off the trail to the right, and then you bend around to the left and down near the creek. And then that's kind of where you have that hill, and that's where, like, going up and over that hill is where the rocky, all those big rocks that we used in trial were.
Yes.
Soaked in blood, all the things. They had already found the shoe at that point, so they said her shoe's over there, matches the shoe that's on her foot. She was still there at this point.
Wait, I can show the actual one LFT.
Yeah, I love that.
That's her hand drawing. You have no
love
idea.
That.
Sorry, I had to add a little levity to it, because
No, trust me, mine would be worse than that because I'm not an artist.
Oh.
She's still there. She was found. And Ski is pointing out things, there's some blood here and marks on her. And I'm like, just give me the flashlight. And I am like all up on everything. Like, just let me just look at all the things and process what's happening here. And then I'll ask questions. And Brad Gaynor is 200 yards down the tunnel and has either just or is in the process of the phone. I got a phone down here. It's down here, yada, yada. And I see him starting to put, which will come into, I know what you want to talk about later, the phone into a bag of water. And I am like, what are you doing? I mean, I'm like yelling, what are you doing? And he said, it's okay. I called Megan. This is what Megan told me to do. And I said, okay, well, if Megan told you to do it, then do it. And I was like, no rights? I mean, exactly what she said on the podcast, right? Like, and they were like, apparently not, whatever. So, okay. So he's putting the phone into the bag, there's the blood. And I will be honest that we talked about the outline of the blood on the wall in trial, that you could see, like, I didn't even notice that till Ski pointed out to me actually in trial prep that it was like an outline of a body. To me, it just looked like
looks like
blood. It just looked like blood everywhere, right? Yeah. Blood on the rocks, blood on the tunnel. She's, in no good condition at that point. You can see all the things. And so that's when they start to talk about, and then the ME gets there like minutes later. I mean, I think I beat the ME by like probably 10 minutes maybe. And so the ME forensic investigator shows up, and that's when they're talking about the DNA on scene. And so, I mean, it all turned out good that I was there because, they couldn't get the phone, there was no signal or whatever. You couldn't get a hold of the ME to find out what their thoughts were. And then, so they all, of course, immediately looked at me and said, what do you want us to do? And I said, take it. I said, just do it, because there's nothing about it that is legally wrong. You know what I mean? Like, may not be the way we normally do things, but, they were worried. They were very worried about the air in putting her in the bag because there was so much blood. I mean, even when they pulled her out of the tunnel on the like body bag, they put her on the body bag and drug her out. There was so much blood coming out of her, her head or whatever on the bag itself. Yeah. And so once they zip her up in it, right, and she's being jostled all around up to the, we have to get her up to the ambo on the bypass. Yep. And all the air is blowing around in the thing, and they're like, we could lose and I'm like, just do it. Whatever you got to do. Whatever, we're just going to do it, And so they took the swabs on scene. I actually was there. And funny part of trial was when Brad Gaynor testified. I don't know if you remember this, but he said at one point something about where she was. And I pulled out in rebuttal a picture of the body bag. And he said, oh, yeah, I wasn't there at that time. Because when he answered the defense's question and said she was wherever, I looked at David and I said, that's not what happened. I was there. That is not what happened. And so that was the benefit of me having been there, because in a normal case, if I hadn't gone, I wouldn't have known that. Right. And I wouldn't have known there would be a picture that would show it. Right. So that's the gist of the crime scene. They hadn't found the Apple Watch yet when I left. By the time I left, they hadn't found it yet. They were getting ready at that point to start the line searches. So everybody was coming. All the extra guys were coming to do the line searches to check for more evidence. And they ultimately, called and said, we found her watch. And then, so like a couple days later, they find the shovel. So the watch is found on the other side of the trail, right? So if you're going down the trail from the S curve, she goes to the right. The watch is found to the left. And then all the way up near the Liriodendron somewhere, basically, is where the shovel is found. And
this is what kills me, is how did it get there? Like,
So what I argued in closing is I don't believe in coincidences. I actually referenced my friend Jethro Gibbs from NCIS. And if you tracked it, it was like the tunnel, the watch, the shovel, and then his house, because his house, if you would go out, you would go out the Liriodendron exit entrance.
Yeah.
Exit, and you would go out that way, and his house was just a couple blocks, that direction.
I definitely know, I mean, granted, I don't know it like you two do, but I know it now from, I mean, being on the phone or FaceTiming with like Tia or Matt and them, and then us on like seeing it, like, so that it makes sense to me, the direction of how he left that way. But I just think it's so interesting because I don't think I ever sat for a moment until I listened to, or at least we listened to that podcast, and then being like, wait a minute, like, so did he drag that shovel down? Like, did he walk back up and wherever he dropped it? You know what? But like, I think Tia nailed it on the head. It was like, it was thoughtful enough that he removed it. Like he chucked it.
It was, because it wasn't like right on the trail. I mean, it looked like
off the trail.
Yeah, it was like he probably just swung it. But like I said to Tia, it's like there are some details of this that we're just never going to know. And the reason we can't really know is because it poured that night. And when I tell you it poured, I mean, like there were tornadoes. I mean, I remember that. And I think there was another storm in like the next day or the following day. In between finding Rachel and clearing the crime scene and the shovel being found, there were 2 major rainstorms, but the one that night was horrific. So no surprise that nothing is found on it, because
that's what
sat in the elements, right? I mean,
that's what we kind of assume too. But it is just very interesting, just like the things like that he's willing to kind of, once again, it shows that kind of like forethought or his awareness of what he's doing kind of deal. And obviously I can get chucking her phone, chucking that down further in the tunnel. Like, I'm not saying I agree with it.
Well, and he didn't just chuck it. I mean, the phone he tried to break it, and it was exactly the same on both, where it was like it had been like with a rock almost, like smashed. So like there was a clear point of impact. And the mistake he made is that on the phone, and not only did he smash it, I mean, the frame was bent. The phone was like, there was like a point. But the mistake he made is he damaged it on the wrong side. Not only damaged the battery, and the logic board was intact.
That was the greatest thing that Megan said in her testimony was that the logic board was intact. The battery was the only thing that was screwed up. So way to go, dummy. When you thought
that was interesting.
Well, of course, I had to get the ABC version from my bestie. That's what I call Megan, my bestie. So we had to do it slow and steady to understand, but I remember when I read her report about how I just was like wide-eyed. And because I saw the phone. And so I said, you're going to need to explain this all to me, because, I yelled at Brad. You said, keep it in the water. I was very confused what was going on.
That was crazy.
And so for those out there who are listening, I will tell you what I have learned from my bestie is that the phone, the damage to your phone when you drop it in water actually happens when you take it out of the water and the air hits it, because when the air hits it and dries, it corrodes the phone. That's when that's when it's done, basically. And so she basically said to Brad, get the water it's in, keep it in it until I can get my hands on it. And that's what he did. So he put it in a plastic bag. It was like a Ziploc baggie, and it was filled with the creek water, that it was laying in. And he just took it like that back to Megan.
Tia, if you'll look at the screen, I've got a photo up.
I got them all up. I just brought them up. Hold on.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'll stop.
It's okay. There's the phone.
Do you have the one where it's vertical that I had on my PowerPoint?
I have no.
I have.
Do you have the vertical one? Yeah. I don't have the vertical one. There it is in the water. So that'll show you. Well, that's kind of how
it's hard to take a picture of it because of the one.
The vertical, we do have the vertical one, I thought, Tia. It's
I know.
the one in the hand, and then wait, Allison, is it the one next where she's holding it in her hand, and then it's the AirPod next to it?
No.
Oh, no.
No, you can see there's a
You
vertical
can
one
see it.
where
There's
it's
a vertical where you can
profile,
literally see.
and the phone looks like this.
Yes.
Yep, it looks like
We
that.
have that.
Yeah.
Where the heck is that one, Tia? We have
I
that.
don't know. I'll find it, but yeah, that's how the phone was found. That's how it looked. It was bent kind of in the center towards the top, maybe more like a question mark. And then this is her Apple Watch, which you can see the damage
Yep.
to the face of the watch where he.
And it was like that actually on both sides.
Oh, was it? Oh, that's right. The where it reads your wrist too.
Yeah, like both sides were like looked like that, where it had like a pinpoint, where it had clearly been hit.
Yeah.
Actually, there's one, Tia, that sorry, I pulled a Tia and just went down a rabbit hole. I found another one, but there's one actually that y'all took in the water, a great image of it, that you actually can kind of see that bend, like the break in it, where it's almost like the front screen. You can tell it's weird that. No, it's I think the next one, Tia, I had it up. It's on. I'm looking at it right now. The next one, yeah, I think.
Yeah, right here.
How you can kind of.
Okay, well, they're identical. That's the same picture.
Oh wait, right, mine's different. No, I'm sorry, mine is different. It's in a bigger, like you can see the rock poking out of the water, and it's more water. It's a more zoomed out.
Well,
but you see exactly what you're saying, Allison. That just that bend in it where it is that V, and I know Tia has it too, but. It is interesting to think about.
But where he had hit it was basically essentially, if you're looking at your phone, it was on the left side of the phone and the logic board was on the right side.
Mm-hmm.
Do
we know whatever happened to his clothes?
I saw that question. No, we didn't find him until 10 plus months later. So I have not a clue. Burned them? I don't know. Who knows?
Carrying a case about the case, we have a huge consequences, and this is I agree, NorCal. I agree. God, there's so much. So in my notes, the sweatshirt that you guys used for DNA, that is in my notes and will forever be in my notes as the ugly sweatshirt.
The ugly sweatshirt, the red and black and white one.
Yeah, that I just named it the ugly.
It is pretty ugly.
Because I was like, who the hell wears this? What is this?
It is pretty ugly. I'll be honest, I didn't know people still wore Fila shoes until
there it is, right there. This is
that was the thing.
That's just I didn't know Fila shoes either were a thing, but if you want to remain anonymous, I suggest you wear this shirt. This will forever be one of my favorite pictures because these guys were so enormous and it makes him look even smaller than he is. I loved it. I loved it. Sorry, I will get this off and do that. So what else do you have questions on, Miss LFT? Because you were taking amazing notes and asking awesome questions. Where'd she go? Oh, there she is. I was like, wait a minute. Where'd she go?
I'm right here. I don't want to keep y'all too long. But there was one that, okay, well, first of all, I have to be really honest. I've walked this trail with Tia on FaceTime or on Zoom several times. Like, I know, and I've been there on the live. Like, I know, and for me, Allison, when I think about it, I'm always coming from William Street. Like, that's the way I know it. So, like, entering that way and then walking towards, not from, is it the toll gate side technically? That would be the other end. So I'm not, like, the way I have to think about it, I have to start at the William Street entrance and go and walk it that way.
Yeah, for me, it's either the William Street or Lyricodendron. Those are the two ways I kind of know it best.
And so in my head, I thought I had it. And I worked really, really hard, thinking I had it mapped out in terms of like what we pretty much thought we knew at that time, based on our information and stuff, and like mapping it all out. And one night I was talking to Tia, and somehow I just happened to like hold up something, and she just goes, "Stop that!" She's like, "Let me see that." And I was like, "What?" She was like, "That piece of paper, hold that up again." And I was like, "I don't want to." Because I already knew. She was like, "What the hell is that?" I had it. Like, the map, like, it made sense in my head. So just for the record, I was on board with what y'all were saying. And in my head, it made sense. But the way I drew it out did not.
Oh my God, that's funny.
So
Wasn't even
when
close. I literally said, I was like, what is that? Stop that.
Literally, like, it was like, no, we're not walking away from this. Like, you have to show me again. So again, for real. So like doing this again, like I had to start all over, William Street, here we go, and then drawing it all out.
Where does William Street start on this map?
Oh God, hold on.
It doesn't. No, it doesn't. No, it's
no. Wait a minute, y'all. Hold on. Yes, it does.
No, says, stop it right now. You're embarrassing yourself and me. Stop
William
it.
Street. This is William Street. This is our entrance. So we're going. Okay. Just trust me, it makes sense.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, I get you.
So my point is, do not even make me question this right now, Tia. I will come through. Oh, I may have held it up upside down for y'all. My bust.
That's fine.
I did. I held it up upside down, but it really does make sense. I sent Tia the picture, and she even agreed. So I just had one question in terms of the. I'm so sorry. I'm forgetting what's his name. When they were walking,
Kyle Stacy.
Yes. When he says like where he heard the branch crack, can you kind of just describe, at least for me, and Tia, like I don't know what Tia was confused about or getting frustrated with last night. But like we both had a minute.
It was how he was describing that when Victor saw Rachel, he was at an elevated spot and could see her coming.
Oh.
But where Kyle saw him was a completely different spot.
It is. Yeah,
so was he over by, I call it the overlook, that the thing that goes all the way up where you can look down on the ground.
So if you are coming down from William Street,
go straight.
I'm looking at it.
Straight for she's looking at it.
I'm looking at it in the right way.
So when it takes the sharp left to go into the S curve,
you're going to go straight up that thing, aren't you?
There's that little hill right there. Yep. So you go up that little hill, and the way that came to be realized was I'm trying to remember, but so they went with Kyle Stacy with Sergeant Maddox, and he did all that stuff we talked about. Trial showed him where it was, and we had the body cam and all that. And then on that same trip, right? Maddox is like wandering around kind of, and he's like, well, over here, and he's like, actually, as they walk back up, and Kyle is with them, and he's like, oh, look at this, and he's up on the elevated spot.
Yeah.
Like, I guarantee you this is where it was. And I actually went, I was like, I watched that body cam, and I called them and I said, I need you to take me out and show me this spot. I need to see the spot, because I didn't know how important it would be, like a trial, how much we would have to talk about that if at all. So I was like, I need to see the spot. So we go out, we meet him out there one day. It actually was perfect. I actually took my two paralegals who had been doing all the body cam work, all the everything, and they hadn't been out there yet to see the scene. David hadn't actually been out to see the scene, so I'm showing everybody all the things. And they met us out there, and they showed us, and I was like, oh yeah, 100%. Because when you stand in that spot, to your left, if you're looking straight out to the trail, to your left is that straightaway up until the William Street lot, and you can see for
a good long way. Yeah.
A good long way.
Yeah, you can.
You can.
Okay.
Yeah. You can almost even see 24, right? Like if you look even
no,
in
you're
one
going
direction.
the wrong
Other
way.
direction.
Stop it.
Other direction. We're looking towards William Street, away from.
Yeah.
and you could
Oh, I
see
know,
a
directly
huge.
challenged on the. I can't wait till she
No,
comes. Speaker.
I'm with you. I just meant like if you turn around, like this is you've got a vantage point if you're standing up there on that hill.
No, where she's talking about, you would look straight up to William Street.
To William
Yep.
Street. So be
Yep.
watching. So watching like
So
us
he
coming
could
down.
see
like,
Rachel coming, and from afar, like it would take her a while before she'd even get to the S curve, right?
Okay.
And then when he sees her coming, this has always been my position. He sees her coming. That's when he starts making his way down that hill.
Okay.
And is walking towards there, and that's when he comes across Kyle Stacy. As he's making his way down from that perch, he's moving in the direction that Kyle sees him in, which would make, it's the right direction. He sees him sort of back near the creek. He came across the creek and whatever. And of course, he kind of, so the sheriff talked about the sketch and other people who had come forward. There were some weird things, and I think he had kind of like hung out down there by that creek sometimes. And I can tell you about those friends because we didn't get into that in trial because we didn't want to muddy things up. But he went down across, that way, and that's when Kyle sees him. And then by the time Kyle gets up to the S curve, Rachel is making her way has made it all the way down that straightaway, right? So as she's coming, he's going down, right? She's way up there. You can see for I don't know how far. And so she's just walking, right? She's not running at that point. We know that. She's just walking. So she's walking down. He's making his way down. Kyle Stacy sees him. Kyle keeps walking and, of course, picks up the pace because he creeps him out. Gets around the S curve. And it's right as he's exiting the S curve and Rachel's entering the S curve that they pass each other.
Okay. I got it.
Yep.
So when the sheriff said this, I was like, stop it right now. That can't be, because I have Kyle Stacy's notes right here. So I'm like, again, stop, rewind, because I know exactly where you're talking about. And I've just named it the overlook for me because it looks right down on the crime scene. You can actually sit on one of those logs and
so it's
look.
actually, it looks down, but it's actually
where you're talking about is closer to the
right by the sharp turn. It's literally you go up that hill and it is right there pretty much.
Yep. I got you.
Mm-hmm.
But when I heard it, I was like, no, that's not. And I am telling Sheriff Gaylor that if he wants any notes on, just give me.
You've got them.
And in the meantime, I'm listening and going, no, this isn't right, because I have Kyle's notes and Kyle saw him down here, not up there. So that was something I really wanted to ask you about. So, sir, you clearly know more than I do. I'm going to take the L on this. You were right. I was wrong. But it was so funny because last night I was so frustrated going, I do not remember hearing this at trial. And because
we didn't talk about it.
Because I've walked.
There were a lot of things that we didn't talk about at trial because we didn't want to muddy things up with things that, sometimes if juries get caught up on things like, I don't know if I buy that piece of it. Who cares? We don't care if he stood up there on the perch. That has nothing to do with literally anything. Same thing with the sketch. We didn't put the sketch in. We didn't talk about all that. All those people that saw who we think is him on the trail.
Right.
Because I didn't want them deciding whether the sketch looked like him, whether that, I didn't want to muddy it up with things that just didn't matter.
So there were a lot of people that thought that they did see him and gave a good description. My question is, and I've gone back and forth in my head, but I think, and I'm going to say this again, I think the sheriff talked me into it. Because, he really does have more information. Don't know where I am. But I've been going back and forth thinking on and off that this was random. But the way that she kind of...
I think it was random-ish.
Okay.
I think the most likely... What Phil said on the podcast is sort of probably, in my mind, the most likely scenario, which is he is on the trail a lot. Rachel is there every single day.
Right.
At some point, whether he knows what time she's going to be there doesn't actually matter, but he at least develops some type of either infatuation, thinks she's nice looking, whatever the case may be, and
Right.
knows that she will be there every day, right? Because every time he's there, he sees her.
He sees her.
And that she was the target for the most part, but I don't know on this particular day, like he had clearly planned out what he was going to do.
Mhm.
I can't say for sure that if some different woman at the same time had come walking down that trail, that he would have waited till a different day for it to be Rachel, right? Like, I think he had sort of made a decision on that day that this was the thing he was going to do. And if the person who came down that trail happened to be someone different than Rachel, I don't actually think that would have mattered.
Right.
Because he had decided he was doing it that day, right?
That's the thing that, like I said, the sheriff kind of and Phil
Mhm.
Gould kind of talked to me. I was like, wow, because I had been like, oh, this is so random. You know, he was just waiting for a woman. But then when I think about how it was stated, she did go daily. She may not have gone at the same time every day, but she tried.
But it was in the summer. It was, according to Violet,
the same time.
Ish, at least, you know, sometime in the late afternoon, evening, you know, it was in the same time frame at a minimum, you know what I mean? So yeah, I mean, I think he developed an infatuation for Rachel, probably, but I think he had decided that was the day, and if it hadn't been Rachel at that time,
it could have been anybody.
I don't think it would have mattered because I think he had decided that's what he was doing. That's just me, but.
No, I actually, like I said, that was one of the statements that really kind of shook me because, like, you know, on and off, we've been saying, well, it's been random. We don't know. There's no proof. There's nothing to say. There's only pictures of Rachel after, not prior to. So, but I understand what you're saying now where, yes, it's random-ish. It could have been anyone, but he probably, odds are he did see her.
Odds are he knew who she was. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
And the reason I say that, we'll say one of the reasons I say that I don't think it would have mattered if it was a different woman, because one of the people who had come forward was this Ukrainian lady who was on the trail in May. And I won't say similar to Rachel, but similar in that blonde hair, very fit, you know, younger than Rachel. I forget how old she was, but younger than Rachel, I believe. But, you know, clearly a healthy, fit woman on the trail to jog, run, whatever. And so she was walking and she got to basically the S curve. And interestingly, it's almost in the same spot where the lady that we talked to that did the sketch, it's a very similar location. And she sees him, I think she's the one, yeah, so she sees him like leaning up against a tree. So like his left and like back to the trail. So initially she thought like he was peeing, right? Like his back to the trail was like leaning up the tree, like that type of position.
Yes. Okay.
And so she sees him and he looks over at her and like, I guess they lock, you know, they make eye contact, whatever. And almost like Kyle Stacy, she is very creeped out by him just in that, you know, whatever second, you know, that they lock eyes, to the point where she turns around and walks back to her car.
Wow.
And when she's walking, at one point she pretends that she's pretending she's taking a selfie of herself to try to get a picture of him following her back to her car.
Shit. Yeah.
And it's again similar to Kyle Stacy sweatshirt, and it was May, but she said it was hot that day, like hot. And he was like in a same thing, sweatshirt, covered up, couldn't really see his face, you know, couldn't really make out. I mean, even from the picture, I mean, now he's far back, you know, he's like a little far back. And she said, I like picked up the pace, but I didn't want to run, right? Because I didn't want to alarm him, and if he was going to do anything, cause him to do something, right? So I just walked. And then she got to her car and she actually took a video. He followed her all the way to the parking lot, and she had a video of him walking like by her car, you know, in the parking lot. And I say him, I'm assuming it's Victor. I can't say for sure, but she was one of the people. And so that's why I'm kind of like, I don't know that it was so specific to Rachel.
Okay.
I think he was sort of stalking the trail between him and then the sketch lady who sees him in, I think that was in late July, I want to say, that she saw him. And he's in the same area. It's that path up to the Lyriodendron. She comes down. She's in her car reading because her kids, she homeschools her kids and all things. And she had she had some time to herself. So she sits in her car, reads for a little bit, and then she's going to go for a walk. And she comes down the trail and he's leaning against a tree this time, not left hand, but like back against the tree, and just standing there. And she sees him, and when he kind of realizes she's noticing him, he quickly like grabs his phone and like acts like he's like looking at his phone.
Mm-hmm.
And so she kind of just goes by, does a run, whatever. And like and again, she was creeped out enough that like on her way back, she was thinking like, I hope that guy's not still there, you know? A lot of that creepiness. And then there was another lady who said in, I forget what month, June maybe, that she saw some random guy like in jeans and a book bag, like sitting in the creek, like literally in like on a rock in the creek. Like, so there was lots of these, and they all sort of described like a Hispanic or even a little darker skin, you know, individual. Similar. And again, they didn't think anything of it at the time. You know, they came forward obviously
After the
at some
fact,
point. Yeah. And the lady where sees him leaning against the tree with the phone, that's the one that does the sketch.
Okay.
So she's the one that actually ends up doing the sketch. And so there were so because he followed that one girl to the car, I'm not convinced it was so specific to Rachel, but then I think he was stalking the trail, figuring out how to accomplish this, right? Like, I think he was waiting for the right time, the right victim, but I think he also probably saw Rachel every day.
So well, according to the witnesses, potentially he could have spent a hell of a lot of time there. And so
and I think we knew
quite ahead of
and I think we knew from witnesses too that he would walk the trail to get to work or to get to, you know, like he would use the trail to get to various places, not just when he was, you know, stalking,
being an asshole.
Exactly.
Okay. I mean, I have like a gazillion questions, and I know you have to go soon, but let's talk about June 14th, the day of his arrest in Tulsa. You hear that, okay, so for those that don't know, there are very specific dates. And like I said a few minutes ago, I don't believe in coincidence. I believe that things happen for a reason. And I've said for years prior to Rachel's case that the victims of the crimes are always the one to solve the crime. They're always giving us little hints here and there. I've never seen anything like Rachel's case where the dates and things happening are so incredibly it's synchronicity. It really is. It's just, so for those that don't know, there are several dates in here that I'm going to mention, but there's these two. Well, the one is very important. The tip with Victor's name on it came on Rachel's birthday, May 20th.
Yep.
And I think that is so, like I said, that is just a moment where you're like, she is doing everything she can to tell us who this guy is. And I think that was important. Violet testifying the day before her birthday, to me, was a remarkable thing for a young woman to have to deal with. I felt so bad for her. There's a gazillion dates. I know you told me some privately that I will not mention, that your staff did, that I thought was really cool.
You can say it. It's fine. I'll say it. Yeah, our staff. So he was charged June 14th. We are required to send discovery out in 30 days. So that would have put us July 14th or July, whatever, in that range. Or no, I'm sorry. That's not true. He was arrested June 13th, but by the time he got indicted, he was indicted. Either way, his discovery was due at the end of the first week, second week of August. But my paralegals decided that they were sending discovery on August 6th.
Which I thought was really cool.
They said and they worked hard, really, really hard, because they were determined that that was the day it was going to go.
That was going to happen that day. And that's the day it did happen.
It did happen.
That's on record. And I love that, you know? So June 14th, you hear, so May 20th, you hear of a name. Do you think that it's going to be a long time like everyone else did? Or were you like, oh no, I'm confident in this team?
When we had the name, or on June 14th
when you heard the name, how did you react to hearing the name? Like, what was your first reaction?
The name was in May.
Yeah.
How I got the name was Andy Lane coming to my office, and above my desk I have a whiteboard. And he drew out the whole family tree, like explained the whole family tree, because it came from forensic genealogy. Right. So he was like, so there's the grandmother in El Salvador, and she has this sibling, you know, these kids, and blah, blah, blah. And he drew out, and all of which led to the bottom in the middle, which was Victor. And he was like, so Victor is the one that we think, you know, blah, blah, blah. And so he drew the whole, and that family tree stayed on that whiteboard, literally, until trial prep, because in trial prep, I do a whiteboard with, it's like a calendar. It looks like the weeks of the trial, and I have Post-its with all the witnesses' names on them. I put them on Post-its so that if I have to move people around, I don't have to erase. I can just move the Post-it. So until I made the actual trial prep board, that family tree was on my wall. So he came and said, we think we know who it is. I mean, he said, do you have some time? I want to stop by. I'm like, yeah. We think we know who it is. Blah, blah, blah. And I switched with him because the board is right behind, like this is my desk chair. It's literally right where that picture is. And so I switched around and sat like I was the visitor, and he went over behind my desk and did all the drawing. And I just sat there and listened. And I was like, well, this sounds great, you know? And he explained why they had narrowed it down to them, because, you know, they narrow it by age, geographic location, etc. There was family in PG County, blah, blah, blah. So we're going to go to PG County, and et cetera, et cetera. So I was like, okay, well, this sounds promising. That was kind of my response. Like, I think we might have them. You know, I went to David and I said, they think they might know who it is. And he was like, okay, you know, so they were excited about it. And, you know, I trust them implicitly. We have a great working relationship. So I was like, okay.
All right. So take us to June 13th when they're like, we have narrowed down.
Yeah. Well, so I was involved the whole way. You know, they went to PG County. They called me and said, here's what we got. Blah, blah, blah. And then they were like, and actually, I think they may have even called me from there and said, he's been gone for a month and a half. They're going to sign a consent to search. You good with this? Like, do we need to get a warrant? Blah, blah. I'm like, no, he's abandoned it. He's been gone for, you know, take it. And so they're like, okay. They take the clothes. Tiffany Keener works at record speed, and gets us the answer that it's a match, you know, that the socks are a match. And obviously we get the report. I think that 13th or the 14th is when we got the 13th is when we get the clothes. He drops it off, whatever. 5 o'clock, we have the answer that it all matches, and it's him.
Tiffany Keener does that all in one day. Is that right?
Pretty much. I want to say that's right. And they were all preliminary results, right? It wasn't the final report. It had to be peer reviewed, but she wanted us to have it so we could, you know, she knew obviously this is pressing. So I think she did it. And it's really just the swabs that we got from the house, because all the DNA from before is done, right? All the stuff from the crime scene she already has the profile for. All she has to do is do the profile on these and compare them. So yeah, so she does it. She gets us the preliminary results. I think it was like basically all in one day. And then at 5:00, Phil calls me and says, it's him. It's a match. Or actually, I think she emailed all of us, frankly, with the results. And I was like, okay. And so Phil said, I'm getting an arrest warrant. And I said, sounds great. And then they called me a little bit about the exigency, because at first they were having some trouble getting the exigent ping. So,
Oh, okay.
So they called at one point, and I think they just finally, I said, you need to lay it all out to them, the whole, not just that it's our murder, but, that he is a danger and yada, yada. And I said, we talked about that. So they were like, we're working on it. We're trying. Okay, fine. Maddox then called me at, I don't know, 8 or 9, maybe. I can't remember exactly what time, but he called me and said, we have a ping in Tulsa. It's reading within 13 meters. It may be within the hour. They're closing in, blah, blah, blah. And I said, okay, call me when, keep me in the loop, whatever. And then my phone rang and they said, we got him. And I was like, holy crap. I mean, I couldn't sleep after that. I mean, there was no going back to sleep. I mean, I was like starting to drift off when he called, and yeah, no. Then I was wired.
You had to be
then you're wired, completely wired.
I was going to say, this is like the Super Bowl win for you.
100%. It's like, oh my God, they got him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, everyone in the sheriff's department, HSI, FBI, everybody had to be like, hell yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm so incredible. God.
But I will tell you, I heard a lot along the way, and Phil said it on the podcast, and I wholeheartedly agree with him. People would say it, not just to him, but they would say it to me. Do you ever think they're going to get him? It's going to go cold. And I said, they're going to get him. They're going to get him, because it had never gone cold. They were always moving forward. And there were periods where the steps forward were baby steps.
Yeah.
But it had never stopped moving. It had never gotten to the point where we were like, we don't know where to go next. Right.
We always had a next move.
We always had a net. We were still moving. Right. And we always knew and we did the forensic genealogy. I want to say I think we did the court order in like September or October. I think it was October. And so like, we knew that was still out there. Right. That was still a possibility. And we were waiting on sort of the results of that. We hadn't heard, and, whatever. So we were always, but we were still, tips were coming in, whatever, but we were always, it never stopped. Like, it never was at the point where it was like, well, we just have to sit and wait for the genealogy because we have nothing else to do. There was always tips. There was always things. And I said, they're going to find him. I just knew, deep down, I just knew they were going to find him. Mm-hmm.
Well, see, and that's what's so interesting. And I'm so glad you said that, because in the true crime community, we all think we know. We don't know shit, by the way. We don't, let me tell you, we don't know shit. We think we do, and we get, we look and we poke and we prod, but really we don't have the technology, the education, or the background to do the things that these people do. And I realized that so wholeheartedly at the trial when you meet the real people that do this. But what I was going to say is, for us people who want to look into things, like I said, what we do is a little bit different. We do a very detailed timeline from moment one until today. And then we give that to whoever wants it, law enforcement, the family, whoever, that's theirs to do whatever with. And it's ever evolving when we get information. It's also we are always correcting things, because we will throw everything at it. If someone heard something, we throw it on there, because you never know. And then, at the trial, like with my notes, I'm sitting reading my notes to her, or I'm taking pictures of my notes and sending them to her, and she is physically going through and changing our timeline so that, we have the right information, so that when we put it out to the general public, we can say this is factual information.
Yeah. That's right.
But what's so funny is, and face groups, you'll hear me say it a million times, Facebook groups are the devil. And reading some of the comments in there, people have already solved the case 2 weeks in. That was the best, by the way. Kudos to you all. I hope that you keep your jobs. that was one of the most amazing things. I hate those groups. I never do well in them, and I always get kicked out. And there is no secret that I got kicked out of the Rachel Morin group because
I didn't know that.
Oh yeah. I kicked out just before the trial, I think. Because they didn't like that I was going to the trial and I had actual factual information that I was bringing in. They liked their theories and things like that. So it's cool. Good for you. Like I said, I love the fact that I got to see this. Basically from day one, we heard about this case. LFT called me and said, "Did you hear about the case that's close to you?" And I was like, "Yeah, I just heard about it." And then, it just organically happened where we got in touch. I think the family got in touch with us. I've never called a family member ever.
Right.
And I just volunteered to hand out flyers.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I just started. And I wanted to learn about it.
Yeah.
I was going to show you this. This is the ring my husband bought me after the trial.
I love that.
It's my Rachel ring. So he said to me about a week into the trial, a couple of days into the trial, and he said, when was Rachel's birthday? And I said, May. And he said, what color's her birthstone? And I said, green. And he said, okay. So he got me an aquamarine ring for starting and completing this particular case, because this is something that means something, which I love. And
I also had my Faye and Violet sponsored nails at trial.
Me too. I saw them and I didn't want to say anything.
Yep.
I was like, well, I'm not touching that. I'm not saying a word. Was there anything, okay, so let's do this. Was there anything at the trial that you found to be a surprise?
No. At the trial?
Yeah, no.
Because we had prepped the crap out of that case. I mean,
yeah,
I knew it forwards, backwards, sideways. There was nothing. There was no way they were going to ever. I knew it too well. I mean, that's just,
well, and you said that there was
I'm not one to say that, but
well, you said there was so much evidence, physical and digital evidence that it's like.
Well, and you said digital evidence. Do you want to share the fun fact Megan shared with you?
Yes, I do. So at sentencing, I got an opportunity to talk to Ski and talk to Megan. Megan Waltemeyer is a digital forensic scientist. I don't know what her title is.
Digital forensics examiner.
Thank you. And I'm going to bring up her amazing accomplishment in 1 minute. But I was talking to her, and then I went back and sat down. I was sitting with Danielle. And what does that say? Early in our relationship, I gave Rachel an aquamarine ring because she loved this stone.
Big stones on her ring. She loved big stones on her ring.
I love that. I didn't know that. That's really cool. Wow. And another one. So I was talking to Megan, and I went back and sat down with my friend, and I was just kind of preparing, and Megan came over to me and she said, do you want to know something? Got a little secret. And I was like, yeah, I do. Yeah. I want to know a secret. And she's like, do you want to know the song that was playing when Rachel was attacked? And I said,
she only knows this, by the way, because I asked.
See, I love this. Full circle. And I said, of course I want to know that. I want to know what song was playing because I want to know all the things that happened. I want to know. So tonight before we came on, I played some music, and one of those songs was a song that Rachel was listening to when she was attacked. And the song was Shawn Menendez, Senorita. Now,
Camila Cabello.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry. Now, here's the weird thing. I challenge you guys out there to, and I'll play it again when we exit out, but to look at the lyrics of that. Because it's not only creepy that him being Hispanic and the song. There's some lines in there that are.
You want me to share my story so that
Please.
So this came to be because I wanted to know, because I was trying to figure out what all I was going to use, and we already knew we were going to use a lot of digital stuff. So I said to Megan, when we had come to the conclusion that we could get the AirPods information, like the times that I used in closing, right?
Yeah.
And I said to her, is there a way to know what she was listening to, what the last thing she was listening to was? And she said, yeah, I'm sure we can figure that out. Go through the download, whatever. And I said, okay. So I went to CID, I went to her office. And by the way, her office is hysterical. She has a whole wall of, like the shoe holders that you put on your door, like, where you can put shoes in them.
Yeah.
Hanging on her wall. And she's got like 8,000, I mean, not literally, but 1 million phones all in these things all the phones that she has to examine on the wall. Well, keep in mind, she can't mess with them, right? So they're in airplane mode, just waiting. And the alarms keep going off on the phones while we're in there. Like, we keep having to turn off alarms because she doesn't want to, like, go in the phones and change it, right? So they're all on the walls, the alarms are going off, and she's looking for, this thing. And David and I are there, and she is like, oh my God. And so she tells me that what the song was, and I was like, you are kidding me. And she was like, no. So I texted in our executive team group chat, my chief of administration. David was with me, but obviously because we tried it together, but she was back at the office. And so in our group chat, I said, oh my gosh, like, Megan found the song and here's what it is. And, she freaked out and was like, you've got to be kidding me. And she said, quote, I love it when you call me senorita. I wish I didn't meet ya, end quote. She, and basically my response was, I bet Rachel just, wishes she hadn't met him on that trail that day.
I'm sure.
And I was going to use that actually in closing, but it wasn't part of the original download, so it wasn't worth all the trouble it would have caused. So but yeah, so
you know what though, I will tell you, I'm glad that you didn't use it in closing, because closing was so powerful just to hear you talk. I wouldn't want anything to distract from what was said at closing. You know what I mean? Like, and I get that that's like a really good punch for the jury. Yeah. I get that. I love it. But I
actually like the way, so I had to obviously recraft what I was doing. And I thought it was much more powerful to do the, that I probably use that in rebuttal, but at the closing to use it that she told the story. I thought that ended up being actually much more powerful.
And I agree with that 1,000%. I think that, well, there's, like I said, there's no question that the victims are always the one that tell the story. And I thoroughly agree in this case. I'm going to bring up Megan's accomplishments because I'm just so
I'm so proud of her.
She's so amazing.
She's so amazing. She
really is. So cool. And I can't wait to go through, and this is Megan Waltemeyer.
Yep.
And
it's my bestie.
That's her bestie. And what this says is Megan Waltemeyer. Oh, wait, I can't read it there. Megan Waltemeyer, a digital forensic examiner assigned to the Forensic Services Unit in our criminal investigation, that's CID for those, was recently honored with a prestigious award of excellence in forensic science and for technology by the International Homicide Investigators Association. Each year, this association recognizes law enforcement professionals who have shown exceptional, innovative, and perseverance in conducting homicide investigation, evidence collection, and examination, advances in forensic science and technology, and successful homicide case prosecutions. So, what's cool about Megan is she took Rachel's broken phone, that distorted thing, and the first thing she said was, leave it in the water. And everybody, that goes against the grain of everything we've all heard. Oh my God, get it out of the water. But as she states at the trial, the second you bring it out of the water, it starts to corrode, and we can't have that. We need all the things. So that was the first thing that I was like, wow, this girl's got my attention already. Secondly, she took Rachel's broken phone and a ghost phone, one she had in,
a donor phone.
Yeah. And switched the, what was it? The
logic board.
The logic board. Thank you. I was about to say the battery. No, the battery was the thing that was broken. The logic board. And as she powered it up, Rachel's face came up on.
Turned on, and it was Rachel's phone. Right.
Yeah. And it turned.
The logic board is the thing that holds all your information. Everybody thinks. Megan had to explain so many things to me in this case. Like, I was like, I don't understand. I thought it was the SIM card. It is not the SIM card. The SIM card holds almost nothing. The logic board is the thing that holds all of your phone's information. And because that was still in good condition, she was able to take a donor phone, same make and model, it was an XR, Apple XR, and take the logic board out of the new phone, put Rachel's in. And when she powered it on, it was her screensaver, and it was all, her phone, basically.
And what she did to clean that, which I thought was super cool, was she used 99% isopropyl alcohol to clean the debris and the sediment and all the dirt out of it.
Dry it out.
Let it dry, and then was able to, oh my God.
Several times. The SIM card had to be dried out, and then the phone had to be dried out. Remember, she shook it to get all the sediment and dirt and debris out of it. And then she took it out, and then she dried it, and then she put it back in, and then left it overnight. There was like several rounds of.
It was so interesting. But the best part, not the best part, I don't want to say the best part. Her testimony was the best part. But the funniest thing is the defense had one witness that they called. And it was Megan. Now, this girl has just told you how she has nailed everything and was able to. Megan was actually the one who was able to give everyone else the time of death. Which
so they were right. So they were right. At least, yeah. She narrowed it down. She was the one who got it narrowed down immediately, because as soon as she got the phone to come on, she started looking at the things, the health data, whatever, and it was an hour increments. And she realized that, after 8, there was nothing.
Yes.
And then that 7 to 8, because it was between, the last text was 7:04, whatever, that the 7 to 8 time frame was really only 7 to like 7, 10, 12. It was like just a few minutes, basically, in that whole hour time frame. And so she sort of said to them, I think we need to be looking at this time frame. That was just the preliminary look of the health data that sort of got them to a time frame.
Yeah.
And yes. So
taking a time where you don't even know what time she was attacked, and narrowing it down to
minutes,
really an hour, and then we've shaved that down to mere moments.
Minutes. Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's huge. That's absolutely
right. Once she narrowed it to 7 to 7 whatever, and we knew there were texts at 7:00. She was able to look at the text and see, okay, there are texts at 7:02 and 7:04 whatever, and then. And then they trail off. You know what I mean? It was
right. We know.
Yeah. It was easy to narrow down to just a couple minutes. Yep.
What we're going to do, and I was talking to LFT about this earlier today, is we're going to go through each person's testimony. We're going to talk about the things that made them cool, the things that were interesting, go through their testimony. Not tonight. At some point, we're going to do like chapters and go through and just discuss, like, this is, once again, showing everybody how we know nothing, and the law enforcement has all of the things hidden behind, and they have to keep this so solid and so quiet because you don't want to alert the potential killer out
Yeah.
there, or anyone else, frankly, to ruin the case. And that was the biggest thing with us talking to some of the family, was that, and why we shut, our podcast down basically from the time the sketch came out. I think we did a couple lives just to shoot the breeze, but we didn't talk because that was the biggest thing for us. Nothing we can say. And that was something that even Matt told us. I mean, he was very clear, like, we can't
we never wanted to compromise anything.
Right.
Case.
Right.
It's not going to be me. It's not going to be this girl. And I was so like, anything that we got, I was like, I'm not saying a word to anybody. I'm not writing it down. I'm not talking. I don't care. Because I was so fearful that anything, just the smallest little thing gets out, and we've just blown it.
Right.
And I was so fearful. So I was like, we're shutting everything down until afterwards. And that was the thing I said, was like, gavel hits, I'm open. I will say anything and everything.
Yeah. And, Megan, it was funny because when the defense was calling her, I think she would tell you that she was like, what are they? What, why? And the funniest moment for me, I'm curious if you noticed this, because I don't know if we talked about this, but she was very closed off. Like, she was very great in her initial testimony. Her body language, though, like her shoulders, she was very, like, you could tell she was, I think, nervous that they were calling her, but she was very, like, not happy about the fact that the defense was making her a defense witness, and you could see it, right? And she was very closed off, and she was like, I don't understand, whatever. And I got to cross her, of course, and I was like, good morning. All of a sudden, she pepped right up.
You know what's funny is from
I saw my chair laughing, and she and I laugh about it all the time because I said it to her. I'm like, oh my God. When she like pepped up, when I was like, oh my God, I'm dying. I'm literally dying.
So it was visible. So I had her profile, right? So she's facing this way. So when she's sitting, she, it's funny that you say this because it was very noticeable. So she sat with her knees together, her ankles together, and her toes. She was wearing like heels, but not terribly high. But her toes were the things that were hitting the floor, not her heels. She wasn't like flat footed with the heels up. It was her toes. She was very rigid. And she was
not like her at all. So I was like, she is so unhappy right now.
And I was watching her, and I was like, okay, this is not the same girl. And then when you did cross her, she just kind of, it was like went out of the balloon, and she was like, oh, thank God.
And I asked her, I think, like 5 questions, and that was that.
It was so funny, though, because we're all like, what'd you ask her for? She's the one who just did. She's the one who nailed his ass, buddy. But you continue to
you put in stupid searches that don't even matter. And I was like, and you don't know who did those searches? Okay. So, okay. All right.
Irrelevant.
Right. I mean, okay.
I'm so sorry.
Are those people do you often work with that defense team?
Yeah, they're public defenders. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
And I don't know how many they have in circuit court, honestly, up top of my head, but it's probably 10 or less, so we work with them pretty often. Yeah.
I'm sure they're really nice people, and they have a job to do. And by the way, I've said this before, I loved them for Victor. I would want no one else for Victor. I thought they were fabulous. What's that?
They didn't. I mean, to their credit, though, they didn't have a whole lot to work with.
No, they didn't. But I don't know. There were some cases that they did that I looked up, and I was like,
yeah. Well, kind of like their moment in sentencing where they tried to tell me they should have the victim impact statements before the sentencing, and I was like, I was very tempted, but I just didn't. But I was about to be like, under what role? Just wondering, under what role?
I thought
they don't even have to write a statement. Like, they could just come and speak. Like, they don't even have to have a written version of it, right? We do it often for the court file, but they could literally just come and verbally say it, right? Like, under what role?
What are you talking
We're
about?
literally just saying things to say them. I feel like, I don't know.
That's
that was
exactly
a
what I
little
felt like. It was
perplexing to
like,
me when she
well, it's
said
our
it. I was
turn.
like, I did not keep my poker face on that one, and I was like, so then I was like, just let it go. The judge didn't respond. We'll just let it go.
She had it.
Yeah.
LFT, do you have any questions? Because we've been on for so long, and she's got to be exhausted. So
I always have fun. I have fun.
No.
This is one of those things I could talk about forever.
me too.
No, I'm sorry. I really apologize. I just had to step away. I had to take care of something for one quick second. But I was listening, and now I love that both of y'all fangirl over Walt Meyer, because I already knew that Tia did, and I'm kind of a big fan because Tia's
Well,
right. Like, we are kind of nerdy.
I loved her even before this case, because when I need technology help in cases, I'm constantly like, could you please tell me how to do X, Y, or Z? But she really, while she had narrowed in on the health data early on, I don't think she realized how important it would be that I would use it in trial. I don't think she ever realized. And I will tell you, I actually did not tell her. So that interpretation that I did in closing,
Yeah.
I told her I wanted her to wait to closing to hear it. She had no idea.
Wow.
What did she say?
She loved it.
She's blown away.
She loved it.
Good.
So I was like, I mean, we talked about the graph and how to create the trial exhibits. Like, we sat down together during trial prep, and I was like, okay, here's what I think we need. We need all those numbers. And she's like, well, I can make all the data points. Remember, we had the tables, right? That she had made, and
We've got this.
we did that. That was a joint effort. Like, us trying to figure out how to demonstrate it to the jury. But my daughter's walking in, the dog's barking. Sorry. But like, we created that together. But at the same time, I said, I don't want you to hear how I'm interpreting it, like in the case, until closing. And after closing, she was like, wow, that was so good. Like, she loved every minute of it. She was very, no, not you. My daughter just said me. My daughter was at closing, and that's actually the first time she's ever seen me.
Oh, wow.
Seen a closing. Yeah.
That was really.
She was there that day.
I do think it was really cool, I guess, learning more about how to hear, and from everything that you've said, as well as, listening to the podcast, for her to talk about, like, looking at that health data and stuff, and just how, like, typically, I guess y'all touched on this, but like, looking at it, it's typically like, realized like that 1 hour graph was actually like, she was able to understand it was actually like, what was it? Actually only 10 minutes. And then it was nothing. And I think that is just, and then for you to be able to utilize that kind of information and to portray it in a very real way.
She had narrowed it down to the time of it happening. And then after that, she didn't really think that much about it until I started looking at it. And I was like, oh my God, Megan, look, like, look at, if you look at this, and they sort of tracked with each other. Yeah. And then we started talking about it, and she was like, yeah. And like, I didn't get into all the details with her, but I was like, okay, so, you have this and you have this. And we talked a little bit about kind of what it showed, but she didn't get the full interpretation until probably, but she was super pumped. She loved it.
I'm literally sitting here looking at it, and it is.
And that 4 to 6 minutes that we were able to beat by the heart rate and the whatever, we had it to the whole thing took 4 to 6 minutes.
That's what's so scary too, when you think about it.
That, you can't do that without premeditation, right? You can't do that. You can't accomplish what he did in 4 to 6 minutes without a plan.
That's, you just can't. And the brutality of it, like, that's what sometimes I have to remind myself, like, where you have to say, all right, sit for 1 minute, like, and literally then you're like, hey, I feel like it's been a minute, and it's only been like 31
20
seconds.
Right.
Yeah, and you're just like, oh my God. And
Very
so
long time when you're
it is long.
suffering and scared, and
Yep.
that's what really blows my mind. I think LST is what you're saying is very poignant because I mean, it's 4 to 6 minutes, which seems like nothing, but then put yourself in the headspace, and that's a really, really long time.
Yeah, I'm sitting here but the only other thing I was going to ask, but I'm guessing you all touched on it. I mean, when it was about Megan, but actually, Tia, maybe that was something you wanted to wait and talk about during the going through witness statements. It was just the screenshots and that she found in the timing, and I have to echo everything that you all just said. Again, I apologize for having to step away, but there is something very like kind of poetic and poignant about some dates and timing of that surround this case, and that screenshot that Megan recovered at the end on Victor's phone.
Yes,
the timing.
She looked at the download. So Heather did the download because Megan's computer wasn't doing it, and so they kept having to go down to HSI to try to crack it. And then Heather happened to be going down for another case, so Megan said, "Take the phone again, see if you can get in," and happened to open that time. Heather did the download, but I guess at some point Megan was looking through the download and sort of was like, "Oh, look at this," and saw the screenshot of that he took of the reporter out in front of
the Hartford County of the sheriff's office. But the timing of that, that timing of it, like it was just minutes.
30 minutes before he was arrested.
Yeah, and that's just so, and that's where I have to say this might be one
Which
case.
goes to what we've always said about his phone, that all of his searches was he was trying to stay one step ahead of us. He wanted to keep track of what we knew, and et cetera, et cetera.
And it wasn't happening. One of the things I wanted to touch on really quick before I let you go, and thank you so much for spending so much time with us, is I sat behind Sheriff Gaylor at sentencing. And of course, I sat just over enough that I could see his face the entire time. And I was taking my notes and stuff, and occasionally I'd look up, and he's in my eye line, and he's directly in my eye line for you.
For me, right? Because he was pretty much right behind me.
Yeah, I'm watching you, but I have to kind of look at him.
You have to see him in order to see me.
Yeah, so I'm watching him, and for anyone who is local, I just want to tell you this, that very rarely did he take his eyes off of Victor in that the entire time we were in sentencing. He stared at him so intently, and I'm watching him, and I do mean this with everything.
Yeah. Hey, look at the chat. Check the chat.
Wow! Megan Waldeneyer's here. Hey, Megan.
Oh my God.
Hey, Bessie.
Oh my God, Megan could get up here and we'd be like, we have 1,000 more questions. Do you like?
I'm gonna get a hold of her.
Megan's telling me I'm a phone expert. She knows dang on well I ain't no phone expert. She knows I'll be calling her the next time I need some question answered.
Thank you for popping in, Megan. This is so cool. We were just talking about you, as you can see. And congratulations. Well deserved. You are amazing. And you already know how I feel about you.
I am a big fan girl from afar. And I mean, I'm in awe too. And by the way, Tia, does this not remember us doing this with Chris Watts, like going through the phone data and doing like going through all that stuff? Oh my God, well, if we like revisited that today, we would own that shit.
We would own that shit. That's funny.
I'm sorry.
What I was saying about Gaylor is watching him, you got a feeling for just what he thought of Victor he doesn't have a very good poker face when it came to that moment. I'm sure in other moments in life, he's very, stoic. He was pissed. Really? He was pissed.
I mean, I'm not any different. I mean, I usually
Danielle,
feel a whole lot.
I'm seeing Danielle is like, he
didn't blink.
He's not blinking. He It was interesting though to watch him, and very rarely did he look away. And to me, that felt personal. It was like, this is personal for him. Like he's wanting this guy out. And I hope to God that when Victor was transferred to his now future home, Sheriff Gaylor and the gang had a beer and just toasted, like, off you go.
I think the thing about this case is, at least from my experience with everyone, with the law enforcement, I think it was personal for all of us. Right?
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, we were all there, and even those that weren't there, right? It was so terrible that, like, there was just nothing.
It was in all of the back. It was like all of our
backyards.
It
became so personal for all of us involved. Yes, for the community as well, because it's all of our backyards. But for those of us, I mean, I'm really speaking for the law enforcement side of it.
Absolutely.
We were all so personally invested in this. I mean, it was, for whatever reason, initially, and obviously over time, you get to know the family, get to know the kids, all the things. And then, of course, then it becomes more personal. But even before that, I feel like we were all so personally invested in solving this case, that everybody was willing. And that goes for us, Tiffany Keener, right, doing her work so fast.
Absolutely.
And the FBI and helping us with, I mean, even they, at one point before we had to close, they had an attaché in El Salvador who actually went and got DNA from his daughter.
Oh, really?
And our backup plan was, at one point, that if we needed it, we would do like a paternity test, basically, on the, on that DNA.
Yeah.
Right. And then try to get an arrest warrant that way.
Oh, wow. That's crazy.
Yeah. So everybody was so personally invested.
We thank you for your personal investment, because honestly, I don't know what the outcome would have been if it wasn't so personal for everyone. It was, I will tell you that Monday, it was funny for me because I was super happy at the verdict. I was so thrilled. I was yaying and woohooing and all excited. Monday, I was subdued and like, what is justice? Because he's still breathing, and that bothers me.
That's right.
I got it in the eyes of the law, and I was thrilled, and I was so happy for you guys, and I was proud to be a community member here, and I'm so lucky to be able to say that I can, I can message you, I can message, I got to meet some incredible humans, truly incredible humans. And I'm so grateful for that. And at the same time though, Monday, I was like, I wasn't happy. It wasn't like, woohoo. I was like, oh, well, he's still living. It was just very.
We talked a lot about that too, though, about what that would be like or could potentially be like. But I think you've all handled it so well. And I don't think it necessarily, like, just because the sentencing is done, like, I don't think, well, Allison and them have a little bit of it because they also have a large caseload to keep busy. And, like, you don't ever forget it, do not get me wrong. But you know what I mean? Like, I think for now it's still.
This is a case that none of us will ever forget.
No, I can't. I mean, yeah.
No,
I can't imagine.
This is that case, right, of your career that just will stick with you for all of time, right? Like, that's just, and it was interesting because I was so structured. Everybody was actually laughing because I was so structured in everything in this, structured. And a month later, we got our verdict. A month later, I had to try the Joppatown High School shooting.
I know.
So I had to turn around and do another one like 30 days later. It was crazy. Never will I ever do that again. But I had to turn around and do that one. And when my paralegals, who obviously were involved in both, watched both of those closings, they were like, those closings were so different. Like, I was so structured, and I was like, in the Joppatown case, I was like much more of my rogue self. Like, in closing, I can be very rogue. You saw it a little bit in rebuttal here, I saw it in
rebuttal, but not in
a little bit. But like, I am generally very rogue in closing.
Really?
Yes, I am not usually. I mean, I have structure, but I'm a lot more, I don't know if snarky is the right word, but like, like some of the stuff you saw in rebuttal, like use your common sense, what woman has sex and morning sex and doesn't take a shower, right?
Right.
Like things like that,
Right.
you will get those kind of remarks from me more and they were like, it's so funny. These two trials were a month apart, and they like your closings were so different.
Polar opposites.
Yeah. Polar opposites. Mm-hmm.
Wow.
I think that's so interesting too, though, because that was one of the questions. We were like, how do you, I mean, even your statements alone from, commenting between the trial and the sentencing, like you're like, this one, I mean, it just hit differently. I mean, not only affected Rachel's family, but like the community. I mean, this was a big one for all of you. And like I said, Victor left for a tiny little piece of crap ship. He left a mighty big wake. And
he did. But you know what? What proved to me is that Harford County, the FBI, Homeland, everybody had it. And that's the best thing. We couldn't ask for a better outcome. And I'm so grateful just for that alone, all the hard work that you guys put in, all the time that you spent away, and all the dedication that everyone had in, Megan Ski, the sheriff, anybody, Underhill, Gaynor, anybody I can mention. I'm just so grateful. I really am eternally grateful.
So side note, Megan just texted me and said she's cracking up at everyone taking note of her posture with the defense.
I might have it in my notes, to be honest with you.
Actually, you might. I said,
can I tell them? And she said, yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, I just loved hearing her on that podcast being like, what the hell? Yo, I'm going back for the defense. What the? All right.
That was pretty much, I mean, that morning, that was pretty much her, like, she's like, I don't understand what we're doing. Like, and I was like, I don't either, but it's fine. It'll all be fine.
We're rolling with this. We are rolling with this.
It'll all be fine.
I can only imagine it was like 6 minutes on the stand, and she's like, what the hell am I even
doing? It was literally like, I think it was like, like 3. You may have it written down. I think it was like 10 to 15 minutes tops.
Yeah.
I mean, super brief. Like really, I could have zoomed in.
They asked about those stupid searches, and then they were so stupid. And then I was like, and your download doesn't tell you who typed those searches, right? Nope. Okay. I mean, I think I asked her like 4 or 5 questions, but she was clearly much happier to talk to me.
Oh, here we go. So I'm going to show you just pages here really quick. Day 7. Okay, so
it would have been Monday, I think.
Hold on.
And this is why I sent Tia a new notebook for trial.
Here. This is all Megan Waltmeyer. Okay, here
for the first time.
That's the first time. Okay, you guys see that, right?
When she gave all her superstar testimony.
This right here to here is defense. Heard from her last week, 6 years, training, cell, 614, celebrate, yes, digital forensics, RM phone, 88 downloaded. Could you see data? She produced a report. I mean, that's it. I literally,
it was those dumb searches that meant nothing.
And it's funny because
I have here in capital letters, this is the best. No way to know who they searched.
That was on reader. That was on cross from me. Because I was like, this is great. They're gonna put her up there because here's the thing, on direct.
It's right there. Cross, no way to know who typed that in.
Well, it's funny because when I direct a witness, here are the rules, right? When you are directing a witness, you can't lead them. It has to be open-ended. What if anything? Blah, blah, blah. It has to be open-ended. You can't lead them. And I'm like, you're going to put Megan up there and let me walk her down the path because she's now your witness. So I get to cross her, right? So now you're going to let me walk her. When they call cops, I love it because I can walk them down the path of saying all the things I want them to say. Isn't it true that blah blah blah? Isn't it true that because I'm now crossing her? So I'm like, this is gonna be great.
It was great.
I'll get you. I don't even have to ask you open-ended, Megan. Just say yes to all my questions.
It was great. I loved it. And like I said, there was pages and pages and pages and pages of things, and then there was this much.
Her testimony first go around was just phenomenal.
That was so good.
I don't think I've ever written her name.
They were like on the edge of their seats, like listening, like. You know, they listened to all of it and obviously were very attentive, but like you could see them, they were like leaning in. I mean, they were into her testimony. Like I told her right afterwards, I was like, they were totally like enthralled by whatever you had to say.
She was absolutely captivating with the information, and she delivered it in such a way that the average Joe who doesn't have all of her, by the way, if I go through her education, we'll be here all night.
Yeah.
With all her certificates and things like that. I mean, she is so overeducated girl.
Yeah. I'm really looking back at the notes, and I mean, I know how to clean the phone. I know the alcohol, so every page that Tia wrote. So I sent her a notebook, and I was like, here's the new notebook for trial. Then what she does is she takes a picture and sends me a picture of every day. And so not only is it my notes through following, updates while y'all are in court, I'm watching everything on Twitter, anything popping up and recapping. So I have my own notes. I do not know how many times that I wrote Healy, Walter Meyer, or Keener, Wilzinski. He might be another one that I wrote a lot. Yeah, but I'll tell you all one thing. By the end of it, I was new, but I can tell you, I was like, okay. So then we dragged the phone out again, right? And I'm going through Tia's notes.
I just changed my notes. It says she's received 24, cross out, 25 awards. Congratulations. And I literally wrote in my notes, this is no joke. I started in 2016 special training during hours, and I'm just, we have all of the things, and I literally wrote, the last one I wrote is the Good Noodle Award because it was the only one she was missing. She had the Good Noodle Award.
Well, I'm just saying you know how you said she explains it so an average Joe can understand it. That's because she has to spend hours explaining things to her. This is what I do. I pick up my phone and I call her from my office, and she answers, and she will, I swear to God, you ever ask her, she will tell you this is God's honest truth. And I say, hi, it's your technology challenge state's attorney. I need your help. And she laughs. She's like, hey, you. And then we go on to whatever question I have for the day. She knows that I am terrible at technology. So she had lots of practice in explaining this to me.
Wow,
so good.
That's a pretty powerful and personal geek squad at your disposal.
Oh, yeah.
At your disposal, not disposable.
We have a very talented, very talented CID in general, but our forensic services unit is really, really incredible because, and you didn't see a lot from him, but Brad Gaynor, who is the supervisor of that unit, all he did was he's not the digital forensics examiner, but he put the phone in the water. You didn't see a lot from him because he was sort of supervising, not really collecting in this particular case. But he is really talented at firearms and ballistics. And he was an expert for me in there she is. Thank you. Really talented. So he was an expert for me in firearms in the high school shooting.
Yeah.
So he is super talented. Jess Orchowitz is super talented. We just have, then we have Heather and Megan. I mean, our forensic services unit is really, and then of course Ski and Ted Smith, so we have a nice group in there, and they're really just, we can really trust them to get the job done,
And then trial.
Ski actually was, I think, getting interviewed by someone for Joppatown because we got that new Pharaoh scan. I wish we had it for this, man.
Did y'all get that?
We actually were talking about that when we were totally listening to you, by the way. But while you were speaking, we were talking about that. And he said he was interviewed for that. And we were talking about that because that Pharaoh thing is awesome.
So cool.
Wait, Are y'all getting the fair? Like, do y'all
They
have
have
that?
it.
We have it. We used it in Joppatown.
Was it 5 cases now? I think he said they've used it in. There was 3.
Yeah, and I can't remember, but Joppa was the first one we used it in trial.
Okay.
And I had to, of course, literally his trial prep because he didn't do a ton in this. In that case, it was actually the exact opposite of Gaynor did a lot, and he did very. It just depends on who's on call, whatever.
Right.
And so, he had done the fair scan, and we had like the fly through of the whole school, and it was very useful for orienting the jury of different locations and taking screenshots. Like we took like screen grabs, like kind of like I did with body cam on Kyle Stacy and whatever, and screen grabs from that, for showing where things happened and getting photographs that maybe we didn't have that angle of, because you can like move the mouse around and it moves it like 360 degrees, so you can get it to go, it to show whichever part of the room you want it to show, and then take a screen grab. But it was really, really interesting. But again, I am technology challenged. So his prep session, because there was nothing to talk about, was you have to show me how to use this. So when I'm in front of the jury, I'm actually hitting the buttons correctly and, and showing them how to do it. Right. Exactly. So
it would have been amazing to have it for Rachel. I agree. But I mean, everyone did such a great job that,
And the only thing I don't know is because it was not a confined area. I don't know how it would.
That's what I was just thinking.
Yeah, I don't know.
Say that because I
don't know the answer to that.
Excuse me, Ski, can we get an answer on that, please?
Yeah. Did they use it in Murdoch?
Listen, thank you.
Do it in Murdoch, and that. I guess that was still kind of confined area too. But
did they?
Oh wait.
I don't know that they did. Actually.
Oh wait, I might be lying. I might be in that one. Not that because I'm my heart. I'm not as close literally to the case, but like obviously Rachel was like our priority. But the other one that even before this all started, like Tia will tell you, she didn't care about anything, and I was like about the Murdoch case, and I just for some odd reason was just.
She poked at me and poked at me and poked at me, and then I was like all invested, and I was like, "Damn it!"
But or maybe someone did like a rendition of it. But then when we looked, I think maybe that's where I really learned about the fair scanning thing, because someone else, maybe it was like we learned from something there. But that is so unique, and it's like a 3D printer, having a 3D printer tripled by 1,000, and
right.
Well, I am going to thank you so much.
And you are very welcome. It's been my pleasure.
And we're having you back again, if that's okay. I want to hang out again.
Anytime.
I really appreciate you coming on.
If you're doing your chapters, whatever, I'm happy to break it down. And
that would be awesome.
I love this. I mean, I don't love this case, obviously.
I know. I feel the same way.
But I love to talk about how it came together, because I think I just saw someone said perfect example of a team working, and it really was. It was, Phil says it all the time. He got, he's the most humble, as you said earlier, humble person on the planet, and he'll never take credit. He did such a stellar job on this case. But he says it all the time, it really was, a very much a team effort. And, from our office to them to, the FBI to HSI to everybody. So it's really been an incredible, incredible journey.
Danielle was a beautiful girl sitting next to me at the sentencing.
I heard someone call her Danielle. So I knew when I saw her name, I put the face with the name from the courtroom.
Yeah, she's just been amazing. She has been a really great friend to me. And it turns out we don't live far from each other, and we've just become really good pals. And this, Rachel brought us together. And I love that. I've had so many people just, be so amazing. And I'm so, like I said, I'm so grateful to you and your team and everyone involved. I thank you so much.
It was our pleasure. It was our pleasure.
By the way, really quick, Allison Healy is up for re-election. We want to make sure she stays in office.
True.
Get out there and vote, Harford County. We need
June. June is the primary, and then November. But as of right so far, Knock on some wood. No one's put in yet. So right now I'm unopposed. So and the filing deadline is, I'm gonna say like February, I think. So
I will do whatever. Stand on corners and wave, hold signs. You get my yard for whatever, anything.
Well, if we need it, I will certainly be putting the word out. So I will let you know.
Thank you.
Someone
again.
asked me a while ago about it, and I was like, I don't even live there, and she has my vote. I was like, I can't even, like, she doesn't even understand. Like, it's like, I don't think she realizes that Tia has like a younger sister that is essentially just as much of a fan, and who isn't even there. But the other thing I was going to say, don't be surprised if y'all see Tia sitting at a computer in a hallway in the next coming days or weeks because of what we're interested in. And surprisingly, maybe you'll have a surprise and won't tell anyone on this panel. I'll be the only one who knows if I'm there. But you'll find out.
Thank you, Allison, for joining us again. And Megan Wiltshire, if you are listening, we're coming for you next, sister.
Yeah. When we do her chapter, let she and I can come on together. We'll love that. I know you're going to agree with me.
That would be best.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, we'd have so much fun.
Yes. That is we're putting that in. Thank you again. I hope you have a great night. I hope you get some rest.
I will.
Can you sleep in tomorrow? I hope you can.
A little bit. It's funny because I feel like sleeping in for me is like 8 o'clock or something because I'm like just an early riser in general. I get up at 4:45 or 5. And oh my gosh, yes, that's the title of it. Allison and Bestie. I love that.
Allison and Bestie.
But yeah, so my significant other works on Saturday. So I'm like, you have the dog feeding tomorrow. Our dog has diabetes, so she has to eat it. And I'm like, you have to go to work. You're feeding. I'm not getting out of bed. This is what's happening.
I agree.
Taking one day. So.
All right, you guys. Well, I'm going to send you out with a little song for Rachel.
Right in my hands, la la la. It felt like oh la la la, yeah.
That is so strange to me that's the song. I mean, it is, but it isn't. Thank you guys.
It was a YouTube version of it.
Yeah.
The YouTube clip of it.
Okay. Wow.
When that music, however you play music on there.
Oh, yeah. That's what she was probably doing on her phone.
Probably.
You know?
Yep.
You guys have a great night. Please hit the like when you exit. And I'm going to turn this down a little bit. Allison, thank you again. Thank you, Megan, for popping in. And we will catch up with you guys the next time. Have a great night.
All right. See ya.
Thank you.
Bye.
Cause you know it's been a long time coming, don't you let me fall. Open your lips and just me hooked on your tongue. Love your kisses, deadly, don't stop. I love it when you call me. I wish I could pretend I didn't need you, but every touch is ooh la la. It's true love.
from summer rain, sweat dripping off me before I even knew her name. La la la, you felt like ooh la la la, yeah, no. Sapphire and moonlight, we danced for hours in the same tequila sunrise. Her body fit right in my hands, la la la. You felt like ooh la la la, yeah. I love it when you call me señorita. I wish I could pretend I didn't need ya, but every touch is ooh la la la. It's true, la la la. Ooh, I should be running. Ooh, you know I love it when you call me señorita. I wish it wasn't so damn hard to leave ya, but every touch is ooh la la la. It's true, la la la. Ooh, I should be running. Ooh, you keep me coming for ya.
Back in the hotel, there's just some things that never change. You say we're just friends, but friends don't know the way you taste. La la la. Cause you know it's been a long time coming, don't you let me fall. On your lips, undress me, hooked on your tongue. Love your kisses, deadly, don't stop.
I love it when you call me señorita. I wish I could pretend I didn't need ya, but every touch is ooh la la la. It's true, la la la. Ooh, I should be running. Ooh, you know I love it when you call me señorita. I wish it wasn't so damn hard to leave ya, but every touch is ooh la la la. It's true, la la la. Ooh, I should be running. Ooh, you keep me coming for ya. All along I've been coming for ya, and I hope it meant something to ya. Call my name, I'll be coming for ya, coming for ya. For ya. Oh, she loves it when I call for ya. Ooh, I should be running. Ooh, you keep me coming for ya.
I love it when you call me señorita. I wish I could pretend I didn't need ya, but every touch is ooh la la la. It's true, la la la. Ooh, I should be running. Ooh, you keep me coming for ya.
Land in Miami, the air was hot from summer rain, sweat dripping off me before I even knew her name. La la la, you felt like ooh la la la, yeah, no. Sapphire and moonlight, we danced for hours in the same tequila sunrise. Her body fit right in my hands, la la